right through until 7 o'clock. So time now to sit back and enjoy the action. It's St Johnstone against Rangers with Alan Preston, Kenny Miller and Alistair Lamont.
Many thanks, Kenny. An enormous match this lunchtime. The 750th St Johnstone game at McDermott Park, with the spotlight focused fully on how Michael Beale and Rangers react to the criticism that's flown their way in the wake of damaging defeats by PSV and Celtic. Stephen McLean and St Johnstone have issues of their own, sitting bottom of the table despite an impressive showing at Celtic Park and a spirited comeback last time out against Dundee. But the pressure on Rangers to come up with a victory one way or the other is massive and palpable, with a good travelling support, as you would always expect from Rangers. Both ends of the ground filled with Rangers fans, and they are all in white this afternoon up against St Johnstone, all in blue, a retro pinstripe top for the home side, and Nick Walsh, the referee, just wandering towards the centre circle, rolling the ball in towards Kemar Roof as the visitors prepare to get us underway. Bit of tension in the air, certainly. Nervousness perhaps amongst the travelling fans. A keen sense of anticipation as to what will unfold here over the next couple of hours. It'll be Rangers going from left to right as we look at it from the back of the main stand at McDermott Park, who will get us underway. Kemar Roof and Danilo both inside the centre circle, awaiting the referee's signal. And there it is. St Johnstone won the last league meeting between the sides here last November, not long before Giovanni van Bronckhorst was replaced as manager by Michael Beale, and that's their only home win over today's opposition in 17 games. Connor Goldson gets the ball rolled out to John Lundstrom on the left hand side up towards the halfway line. It's hugely important, you would imagine, Kenny, that Rangers start on the front foot in a positive frame of mind.
Absolutely, and that means they get corners, they get shots, they get into that St Johnstone box and ask the defenders questions. You already see the way they're lining up with the three players in behind Danilo.
The offside flag up against James Tavernier as the free kick goes St Johnstone's way, deep inside their own territory. And Dimitar Mitov, who was huge in the draw against Celtic a few weeks back, trots out to take the free kick, left hand side of his penalty area. You would imagine, Alan Preston, he'll be a relatively busy man over the course of the afternoon.
Yeah, and so far he's been a brilliant signing for St Johnstone, really has. And just looking at the formation, I think it's Carey that's going to play up with Kane or just off him. I think he's going to try and get into Raskin's area to try and stop Rangers from starting the game. Either him or Kane will be in there, in and around him.
Ball high in the air as Chris Kane wins the aerial battle. Comes down, Rangers pick up possession as Lawrence was down under the challenge there of Olafunwa, just inside the Rangers half, and gets himself and Rangers a free kick, which John Lundstrom will look to take and plays it square for Connor Goldson, stepping up to the halfway line. Tavernier's out to the right hand side, and that's where the ball goes. Back to Goldson, just inside his own half, inside the first couple of minutes, and a first touch of the season for Ben Davies, who looked like he was heading for the exit door. There was suggestions that Rangers were keen to offload him. It didn't happen, and here he is back in a Rangers jersey alongside Connor Goldson with John Souttar on the bench. Out to Tavernier, the ball comes midway inside the St Johnstone half, right hand side for Rangers. Costello trying to close him down, and then Raskin plays it back to Goldson on the halfway line. Rangers dominating the early possession, as you would expect, as Raskin picks up right hand side and plays it forward to Tavernier. Infield to Lammers, who's got a bit to prove after he was one of those summer signings brought in by Michael Beale. He's played the ball straight out of play, trying to find Raskin in the forward area, but straight out of play instead, and it'll be a throw into St Johnstone. We've played almost 3 minutes at McDermott Park, and it's St Johnstone 0, Rangers 0.
And you can see Rangers are going to have the lion's share of possession, and that's expected. What they need to have there is between Lawrence, between Roof and Lammers, who are all kind of lining up, trying to get in behind that St Johnstone midfield in support of Danilo. And there just needs to be movement. Already I've seen Tom Lawrence looking to run long and Danilo coming short, but you need that every time you attack to disrupt that St Johnstone backline and midfield lot, that they can't just sit in two banks of four and defend without having to shift and make decisions.
St Johnstone have the throw in, approaching the midway point in the Rangers half. Left hand side will be taken by Luke Robinson, the left full back, headed forward by Tavernier. Raskin and Lammers getting in each other's way, but it's played forward to Danilo. He nods it down to Roof, who just pokes it forwards. Rather hopefully Lawrence will give chase. Liam Gordon should be there well in advance of the Rangers player, and he just nods it back to his goalkeeper Dimitar Mitov, who, as I mentioned earlier, made his Bulgarian international debut during the international window against Iran in a 1-0 friendly defeat. And he launches it long over the halfway line. One for Chris Kane to go and try and trouble Ben Davies. You would imagine that Kane will try and play on Davies rather than Goldson and try and get a bit of joy out of him.
Yeah, but Goldson's a big, strong, powerful figure. Is also up to speed, been playing games. Davies has it, not played for a while, so you would certainly think so.
Throw in to Rangers, taken by Yilmaz, who made his first appearance of the season as a substitute against Celtic, and in for his first start this lunchtime. Almost 5 minutes played, no goals, no test for either goalkeeper in these early exchanges. It's Goldson on the ball, about 15-20 yards inside his own half, out to Tavernier, and now Lammers. Lammers looks up, plays it forward down the right hand side to Kamaru, about 20 yards from the goal line, trying to take on Considine, and he loops it towards the back post, and although it was an attempt to cross, it almost ended up as a decent effort on goal, but it just drifts wide of the far post. It will be a goal kick to St Johnstone. St Johnstone nil, Rangers nil.
Yeah, it was better for Rangers. Listen, it wasn't a great cross in the right. It almost looked like it could have snuck in at the back post from Kamaru, but it was good movement. That's what you're saying. You've got Lammers, who pulls all the way along to the touchline, and Kamaru from a kind of 10 position, making that diagonal running behind a fullback, and he's faced up against Andy Considine. That's where Andy Considine and centre backs don't want to be. Wider areas against strikers. It was better front play for Rangers.
Header by Davies, and then knocked out on the far side by the returning St Johnstone skipper Liam Gordon, who's sat out the last couple. Came on at Celtic Park, but he's back in favour of Sam McClelland this afternoon alongside Andrew Considine. As Rangers pick up possession on the halfway line, it's Lundstrom for Lawrence, and now back with Ben Davies. Lawrence once more, left hand side. Chris Kane comes back to just try and close off his forward movement. Back it goes to Raskin, more or less on the centre spot, just touches it to the right hand side to Goldson, who in turn plays it on to Tavernier. Tavernier inside of Costello. Now it's Lawrence, who's drifted across to the right hand side, gets it back from Connor Goldson now. Lawrence with a bit of a free roll, and he steps nicely away from Costello. Right hand side is Lammers. Lammers looking to take on Robinson on the right for Rangers, gets into the box. Roof challenges with Olafunwa, but Olafunwa does enough to get the ball out of the box, and Rangers will have the throw in right hand side. Raskin, they're going to take it quickly, and then he just leaves it for Tavernier, who does take it and throws it back to Connor Goldson. Square for Davies inside the centre circle, just nudges it forward for Lawrence. Lawrence in a central area, back to Lundstrom on the edge of the centre circle, and now out to the right hand side. Rangers trying to get the tempo up as Tavernier whips it into the penalty area, away by Gordon, and then I think that came off the referee there, and it will have to be a drop ball. Last came off as a Johnston player, so, but it looked like it was heading for a Rangers player. It's one of those ones that might have to be contested.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Yeah. It's a St Johnstone player heads out, but Tom Lawrence was going to get a touch on it and line up a shot for me, but listen, it's one of the rules that has to be deployed by Nick Walsh here.
Yeah, not back to Liam Gordon, but it's now back with Jack Butland in the Rangers goal, who I think, Kenny, it's fair to say goes down as certainly the one successful summer signing so far.
Yeah, absolutely, he's been excellent. For what he's had to do, again, he's not had too much to do, but when called upon, the sign of a good goalkeeper, full concentration, and makes the saves that needs to be made. And you know what I would say also, if you were to say who was going to be a hit of the recruitment, it would have been Jack Butland for me, by his profile and his pedigree and what he's actually achieved in his career.
Cleared left-footed by Mitov at the other end. Lundstrom gets his head to ahead of Kane, and nodded down by Matt Smith in that central midfield role for St Johnstone. Goldson just hoofs it down the right hand side. Looks like it's going to stay in play, and then eventually it's knocked out by Lammers, according to the assistant referee down in front of us, and on the halfway line it'll be a throw-in to the home side. We've played 8 minutes now, and although Rangers have had more of the territory, more of the ball, they haven't been able to do anything particularly meaningful with it in these opening exchanges. Robinson plays it right-footed down the left-hand side. Goldson returns it up towards the halfway line. Phillips and Roof contest the ball, and it falls to Raskin. Lammers back to Tavernier, who just clips it forward. Asks Danilo to go and challenge, but Gordon wins the header, nodded down by Carey for Costello, coming down the left-hand side beautifully away from Tavernier, up towards the edge of the Rangers penalty of Costello, but Tavernier gets back well at him, just nicks the ball away before he could play the pass, and now it's Goldson forward for Danilo. Now Roof taking over. Back goes Olafunwa. He plays it forward to Costello, who nods it down for Robinson, and he can't find the pass back to Costello. Out for a Rangers throw-in as we approach the 9-minute mark. No goals to speak of at McDermott Park so far.
That was lovely play by Costello, but then he just goes slack, too slow, allows Tavernier to get back and win the ball. He's wanting a free kick. Stephen McLean's having a go, the fourth official, but not for me. It's a good challenge by Tavernier.
Here's Lundstrom, left-hand side, straight out of play under a bit of pressure from Chris Kane. And that's the kind of thing that will lift the spirits of the St Johnstone side when you see Rangers players making errors like that. And Olafunwa will have the throw-in just inside his own half.
And you can see St Johnstone lining up, Alan. They're 4-4-2 in the press. They're going to be in that a long time. But it's going to be a lot of hard work over the course of the game to kind of stick to that and stay disciplined. But they're not going to make this easy for Rangers, that's for sure. No,
they're not going to jump out of shape if they can help it. You know, they've been disciplined. They'll be working on their shape this week, I'm sure, with Stephen and his coaching staff. And don't give Rangers chances. They're a team that are under pressure, Rangers, at the moment.
Unbeaten in the last two, St Johnstone, as they begin to accumulate points with the draws at Celtic Park and against Dundee, when it looked like they were going to fall to defeat, but the two Max Kucheravi late efforts earned them a point. That's the only 2 goals they've scored in the league this season. As the Rangers try to come forward down the left-hand side, Lawrence goes down, but he wasn't fouled in the view of Nick Walsh. And it's played forward. Butland just plays it short to Ben Davies. Davies for Goldson, and then leaves it to Raskin. Rangers, of course, return to European action in the week against Real Betis in the Europa League. They look to get that off to a successful start, but more importantly, first things first, they need to take care of domestic business. As Davies slides it forward for Lawrence, he can't find a pass himself though, and Kucheravi will pick up. And St Johnstone trying to come forward. They've coughed up possession though as Raskin finds Lammers, and supporting him is Tavernier up from the right back. It's a good ball for Lammers, almost at the goal line, tries to cut it across, Considine in the way, and gets out to the left hand side for Robinson to knock it forward. Beautiful little flick from Graham Carey with the back heel, and then it was Costello trying to lift it forward for Kane, and Ben Davies had to watch it closely, but manages to deal with it, and 11 minutes in it's still goalless.
A lovely flick by Carey into Costello, and because it's on his weaker right foot, he just can't get enough on it. He's got to overhit that over the top of Davies' head, and Kane was onto it but just couldn't get enough on it with his weaker right foot.
Rangers have it. Goldson just inside his own half, out to Tavernier, into the feet of Danilo, midway inside the St Johnstone half, gets turned, plays the ball. It's a poor pass though for Lawrence, no real chance for the midfielder to get onto that, and St Johnstone managed to get it clear. Goldson slides in before Costello gets there, but it will be a St Johnstone throw, and that's a kind of pass from Danilo, Kenny, where you're just looking for him to have a bit more quality and give his teammate a chance.
Yeah, because again it was good movement between Lammers and Danilo. That Lammers is stretching Considine long, and Danilo gets the ball with feet, he gets turned, but it's just a sloppy pass into Tom Lawrence out the other side. It's probably the right idea, but just the execution isn't. Like you say, when you're paying that type of money for a player, you just expect those things to be a given. The quality of that type of pass in the final third.
Danilo preferred to Dessers in that striker position, with Kemar Roof playing as a 10, as Kenny mentioned earlier on. Lawrence and Lammers either side of him in what is effectively, I suppose, a 4-2-3-1 this afternoon for Rangers. Tavernier has it just inside his own half. 12.5 minutes in, no goals in the early kick-off in the Scottish Premiership. 3 p.m. kickoffs to come. Full commentary. Celtic Park as Dundee are the visitors, and open all mics will have you up to date with all the goings on. It's at Goldson and Tavernier. Ball forward from Goldson, just had too much on it. Tavernier couldn't stretch to keep it in, and there was just a little frustrations for the Rangers fans, but as I say, every little misplaced pass from a Rangers player will give a bit more grist to the middle of the St Johnstone players and fans as they look to take something from another awkward fixture. As you say, Alan, it has been a tough start to the season for them. 4 times they're going to have to play the Old Firm in the opening, what, 15 or 16 games?
Yeah, 15 games.
Lundstrom gets a good foot in. Danilo picks up on the angle of the box, right hand side, into the penalty area he goes. 1 past 1, but Phillips is back there to cover, and it was a good, important challenge from the St Johnstone midfielder as Danilo tried to make some headway inside the penalty area. Rangers have it once more. It's Davies just inside the St Johnstone half. Forward it goes for Roof. Heavy touch from him, allows Kane to step in. Phillips turns away from Lundstrom. Good footwork from Phillips to keep possession, and back it goes to Considine. Now Smith, Considine once more, just outside his own penalty area. Now plays it long down the left channel. Tavernier keeping an eye on it, nods it out of play under pressure from Costello. St Johnstone throw in, 14 minutes played. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 0.
Yeah, nice play by St Johnstone. Matty Smith's involved there, back to Considine, good ball over the top. Tavernier out, gets St Johnstone up the park, 60-70 yards at the edge of Rangers box. But at the moment, it's relatively easy for St Johnstone to cope. Rangers aren't playing with a pace or a tempo that would cause them any concern.
And that's Stephen McLean getting asked about how to trouble Rangers. That's how you do it, Alan.
Yeah.
You make the defenders defend. You put balls forward up to a Chris Kane or a forward runner in Costello and make them make decisions and answer the questions. At the moment this season, they're maybe not done too well and they are under pressure. You need to ask them to defend. That's a way that St Johnstone can get up that pitch and give them these types of opportunities.
Which they have in their first corner kick of the match, which will be taken by the Ukrainian Max Kucheravi on his left-hand side, and he plays it short to Carey. Rangers slow to close down. The ball comes into the penalty area now, but is behind all of the St Johnstone players, and a wasted opportunity there for the home side as Rangers will look to try and counter swiftly. It's Raskan on the left-hand side up to the halfway line. He's allowed every St Johnstone player though to get back behind the ball, but Rangers still move it to the right-hand side now. It's Lammers forward for Tavernier. Tavernier right at the penalty area, trying to get away from Carey. Into the box it comes, there's the header, there's the goal! And Rangers in front. There's an injury there to Danilo as he headed past the goalkeeper, but Rangers crucially on the counter-attack have managed to find the breakthrough in the quarter hour. Terrific ball in from Tavernier, and there was Danilo 6 yards out to head past Mitov. It's St Johnstone now, Rangers 1.
And it's a brilliant counter-attacking move, and you're right to say all the St Johnstone players had got back, but they were all just back, they weren't in the right position, and it was good play between Lammers, who just reverses a pass down the right side, inside run, into out run for James Tavernier, who crosses first time. He just stands up, Alan, doesn't he? It beats the first man, and Danilo's at the right place at the right time just to nod the ball past Mitov. It does look like he's taken a sore one off one of the St Johnstone defenders as he went to head it.
That's different class for Tavernier. What a cross it is, you know, and you think it's easy for Danilo just to knock it into the back of the net, but it's a brave header. I think it's Liam Gordon that's in there with him as well that's caused a bit of concern. The two of them have collided and hopefully they're both okay, but that's all come from a St Johnstone corner. You know, they take it short, everyone's in, the ball for Carey goes behind everyone, Rangers are on the break, eventually it comes to Tavernier from Lammers, and it's a wonderful dig out, just clips it up into the middle of the 6-yard box, but I think that could be Danilo over. I think his day's finished.
Yeah, he sparked out there inside the 6-yard box, although you can see he's raised his left arm now, so he's certainly moving okay, but both he and Liam Gordon, just looking at our colleagues from Sky's monitor here, they've got a close-up inside the 6-yard box. You get a rerun of the goal. It's a brilliant stand-up from Tavernier, as the guys are saying, and a brave header, and he effectively heads Liam Gordon's head after making contact with the ball. It's a sore one for the Brazilian. He'll be delighted to have got on the score sheet, but he might be suffering for it as Abdallah Sima, I see, getting his training top off, and he might be getting an early introduction into the game after Danilo has put Rangers in front. But a good move and a good goal.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move, you know, and again it's come from a familiar source in James Tavernier off the right flank. It was a really, really good touch. I think he just stood, I don't know who the defender was at the time, he just stood him still, moved the ball with one touch and crossed with the second touch. And you know, this is where Rangers fans have been seeing, they've wanted to see more of Danilo, but they've been wanting to see more of him as a number 9. You know, that's where a number 9 should be, right in the middle of the 6-yard box, waiting for crosses, cutbacks and kind of flashes across the goal. So wonderful goal for Danilo, but a real shame to see the stretcher having to come on now to get him off.
Yeah, Liam Gordon is back on his feet, having taken a blow there from Danilo, but the Brazilian, as Alan said, his game is well and truly over, and it will be Abdallah Sima, I think, who will replace him. Concern for the former Feyenoord striker, brought in for big money in the summer, and having got Rangers in front, it's come at the expense of an injury, but he's sitting up inside the 6-yard box, which is good news, and the fans behind the goal, the Rangers fans, applauding him. Not sure how even aware he'll be of the fact that he's put his side ahead, but clearly the main thing is the player's welfare. Back on his feet, actually, he's not going to require the stretcher.
I think both are off. I think Gordon's going to have to come off as well.
He might well
McClellan could come on to replace him. I think he's, it's a real, both two honest guys going for the ball. Danilo gets there first, and there's clearly clashing of heads is dreadful for the pair of them, but you can't take any chances with head knocks at all. And although I think Danilo's done, he's definitely coming off. I would get Gordon off as well, because he looks groggy, he's all over the place, and I can see the doctors down there speaking to him. They'll want to carry on, but the right thing might be to take him off.
Yeah, I mean, we know more and more now about the repercussions of playing on after head knocks, and football might have lagged behind the likes of rugby in the treatment of head injuries, but it should be taken out of the players' hands. It's the medical staff, and I think one of the physios has said to Liam Gordon, I think you're finished. And in fact, we do see that it is Sam McClelland who's making his way out of the dugout and onto the pitch to replace the St Johnstone captain. So it's a sad sight to see both Danilo and Liam Gordon having to leave the field after that clash of heads that followed Danilo's header into the back of the net. But the player's safety absolutely has to come first, and actually very sensible judgments there from both medical teams to ensure that both players are replaced. And after a lengthy stoppage, we will resume with St Johnstone kicking us back off, and it's St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1. And
you're talking about 6 minutes in total there. After Rangers scoring 15, we're almost 21 now. Long stoppage, but they've got the right results from both players. They had to come off. It was a really poor accidental head clash.
The Rangers fans beginning to make some noise, having seen their side take that lead through Danilo. Third goal of the season for the Brazilian, and St Johnstone with work to do here, as Goldson has it at the back for Rangers, midway inside his own half, just plays it to Davies. Davies clips it forward looking for Sima. McClelland in ahead of him, the two substitutes, as Lundstrom goes back and plays it all the way back to Jack Butland. A couple of clean sheets in his 9 appearances to date, some really top saves. That defeat out in Eindhoven could have been even worse had it not been for the new Rangers number 1, Tavernier, after that assist. To make that his first assist of the season, believe it or not. But it really was a great ball for Danilo on a plate for the striker. Back with Butland it goes. We've played almost 22 minutes, but as Alan said, there'll be a good deal of stoppage time to be played at the end of this first period because of that break for treatment to the two players who have gone off, Danilo and Gordon. Here's Roof, left hand side for Rangers, spins one way then the other. He's done well, Kemar Roof, and it's out to the left hand side. Yilmaz looking to find Sima, who's just gone straight into that number 9 role, and now Lammers finds him on the edge of the box after St Johnstone give it away. Sima left hand side, tracked by Phillips, and Olafunwa also gets in there, but Sima manages to keep it. Lawrence now left hand side of the penalty for Rangers, into the 6-yard box it goes. McClelland taking no chances, knocks it behind. Rangers corner midway through the first half. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Yeah, good play again for Tom Lawrence again, just forcing the corner with a low cross. One thing for Rangers now is a different threat they've got as the number 9. Danilo's more likely to come off, and he looks quite clever with his movement and his touch of the ball. Sima will want the ball over the top. He will want something to go chase, and he'll be a lot more comfortable, I think, in those left areas where he just found himself there.
Tavernier then from the left hand side to swing the corner in as Rangers look to extend their advantage. The captain into the 6-yard box. It's a good take from Mitov, exactly the type of thing we saw him do at Celtic Park. Very confident coming off his line and taking the pressure right off his centre-backs and immediately launches it forward. But Rangers have it quickly back as Yilmaz feeds it forward, looking for Sima down the left channel. Tries to get the better of McClellan, he's knocked it by him. Sima into the 6-yard box. Oh, it's another good save from Mitov as Lammers was looking for the cutback, but Sima, having got the better of McClellan, went for goal himself, and Mitov had to stand up in his way and knock the ball to safety as Rangers up the ante.
And that's where Sima wants it. We just said it, into that channel, that kind of inside left channel, and you see the pace and the power. They just went past McClellan as if he wasn't there, and it required a really good, smart stop for Mitov to keep it at 1-0.
Important goalkeeping from the Bulgarian early in the game as Lawrence overhits the attempted pass for Yilmaz. It'll go behind for a St Johnstone goal kick, and a bit of respite because Rangers, since the goal, Alan, have been on top and looking for a second.
They have been, you know, the opening 15 minutes, Alistair, they were, you know, very pedestrian, and then St Johnstone get the corner and it comes from there. Take nothing away from Tavernier's ball. What a cross it is, right on the money for Danilo to put in the back of the net. Then St Johnstone, did they have to change their game plan, their shape a little bit? They've not just now, but there has to come a spell where they will do to get back in this game. They want to try and get, you know, get a foothold in it if they can. Phillips get on the ball, Smith try and get their full-backs forward, because that's where they can get a bit of joy.
Yeah, Sima did well, as Kenny points out, but Lammers was looking for a cut-back, and I suppose when it comes into those areas, you just need to make the correct decision at that moment.
Never known a striker to square it once. No chance.
I done it once for Big Boy.
You hadn't have, you'd have slaughtered you.
Rangers have a free kick just outside their own penalty area to the left-hand side, which is taken by Davies to Butland, who slides it out to the right to Tavernier. 25 minutes gone. Rangers have a 1-goal advantage. Danilo with the header, but in scoring, he was injured, and both he and Liam Gordon have had to leave the field to be replaced by Sima and Sam McClelland respectively. St Johnstone have a throw in on the halfway line, left-hand side into Smith. It comes. Robinson quickly closed down by Raskan, and out for another St Johnstone throw just inside their own half, just in front of Stephen McLean, who's standing out at the edge of his small technical area here at Perth. Back into the feet of Smith it goes, plays it back to McClelland. Played a couple of under-21 international matches for Northern Ireland in the break. Kept it on the right-hand side there by Kucheravi, and Olafunma gets it back to McClelland. McClelland to Constantine, back to his goalkeeper. First time out to the left-hand side, that'll be cut out by Raskan. Was he impeded there? No, in fact he fouled Robinson in the view of the officials just as he tried to get in behind. He did well to intercept the pass, but Robinson had also read the danger and get back in between Raskan and the ball, and Raskan hold them to the ground. It'll be a St Johnstone free kick just outside the penalty area. 26 minutes in, St Johnstone, Rangers 1.
Yeah, Mitov just didn't have enough on the pass out, and it was well read by Raskan, but it was right, Robinson was in front of him and Raskan's piggybacking on the back of him, giving a foul away. But St Johnstone have to be careful with McClellan and Constantine, not the most graceful at the centre of the defence with the ball at their feet.
Robinson gets the header forward down the left for St Johnstone. Carey into Smith, and now Costello finds Carey once again on the left hand side, and he's played it off Tavernier, and it will be a St Johnstone throw in about 10 yards or so, 15 maybe, away from the corner flag on the left hand side as they attack, and it'll be taken by Robinson, who's on loan from Wigan, into the feet of Phillips down at the corner flag. Toe in there from Lammers. It'll be another St Johnstone throw closer to the corner flag this time, and up come Andrew Considine, who we know has got a good long throw to try and put a bit of pressure on the Rangers defence. They haven't been under any significant pressure thus far in the game, but can Considine change that here as he lines up lengthy throw here from the left hand side. Former Aberdeen central defender into the 6-yard box it goes, met by the head of Goldson, and back out for another throw, which Considine will try again with. Robinson's there as a shorter option should he choose to use him.
If Phillips moves away, Robinson's on it.
Yeah, and he's gone to Robinson, but Rascan was fouled off the ball by Phillips, and it was spotted by Nick Walsh, and the pressure relieved on the Rangers backline. 28 minutes in, and St Johnstone trailing by a goal to nil. Danilo on the score sheet.
And that's just crazy, that Alan, for Phillips, because he should run him in. No, he doesn't need to block him. If he runs in, he can actually receive. Rascan tracks him, and Robinson becomes free.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're trying to wrestle someone, Nick Walsh is looking right at you.
It's Rangers' worst start to a league season since 2018. Looking to rectify that this afternoon, and they made a positive start certainly with a 1-goal advantage in the early stages. But they will certainly feel the need to add to that lead, because St Johnstone surely at some point will be able to try and get back at them. A 1-goal cushion you never feel is enough. St Johnstone have a throw-in over on the far side, midway inside the Rangers half, coming up to the half-hour mark. Olafunwa to take into the feet of Kucheravi, back to Olafunwa. He's quickly closed down. Good play from Roof, who makes some headway down the left-hand side. Good backtracking though by Olafunwa, and Phillips then plays it to Considine, just inside his own half. Out to the left-hand side it comes for Robinson, closed down by Lammers, but he gets the pass off for Costello. He's closed down well by Rascan. He's dragged to the ground, and that'll be a yellow card for Dara Costello, the young Irishman, just dragging Rascan back. He'd been caught by the Belgian, and he had to prevent Rangers getting forward, and the first booking of the game for Dara Costello.
That's an easy one for the referee as well. You know, pulls him back, not allowed to do that now. Right in the halfway line, it is a decent foul because Rangers are on the attack, but he's got an hour to play on a yellow card.
Rascan has it just inside his own half, back to Goldson. And now Davies, about 10 yards inside his own half, but stepping up to the halfway line. Plays it square to Lundstrom, who again turns it back to Goldson. And now Rascan. Right of centre, out to Tavernier, back to Rascan, and back to Tavernier once more. And then back with Goldson as Rangers look to try and circulate the ball and move St Johnstone about the field. They're sticking rigidly to their shape as Phillips though tries to press Davies. He gets the pass off to Goldson. Back with Davies just inside his own half. Rangers looking to just try and lure St Johnstone out of their shape here. But out to the right hand side it comes now with Rascan. Costello's with him in field to Tavernier. Tavernier again with a short pass to Rascan. He just overdoes it, and Phillips picks up and he turns away from Lundstrom, who's fouled by the Rangers midfielder. Free kick goes the way of St Johnstone just beyond half an hour in. St Johnstone nil, Rangers 1.
He might have been actually better standing up there, Alan, because I think you had Kucheravi, who was going to be in a leg race with Ben Davies on the right hand side of the pitch. Had he been able to stay on his feet, it might have been a simple pass through across for Kucheravi.
Olafunwa's lost it to Lawrence, but he found Lundstrom, whose first touch was a really heavy one, and he lost control of the ball.
McClellan's not started the game well since he's come on. He's fired one out to Olafunwa there, then he's just needlessly kicked it away under no pressure.
Davies forward looking for Seema. He's got the better of McClellan, but across comes Considine. Good experience defending, just closing off the space as Seema got in behind McClellan, as Alan points out, but he just saw it back to his goalkeeper there, Andrew Considine, and averted the danger. 31.5 on the clock. St Johnstone nil, Rangers 1.
Yeah, and that would have just added to the poor start that had Seema. Had Considine not dug his partner out there and covered them like he should be. It was excellent defending, but that type of movement for Seema as the game goes on, if he continues to do that and Rangers look for him, it'll free a lot of space for the likes of Roof and Lammers and Lawrence. That's one thing Seema will do. He'll constantly stretch the game for Rangers and make Considine and McClellan track runners and make sure that they're covering.
The pace he's got as well, Kenny, they're not going to like that. Andrew's been brilliant. He's 36, 37 now. He's been magnificent over his career, but you know he's not the quickest anymore, and McClellan was never going to be the quickest either. So if Seema can do that, it'll give Roof the space that he needs to go and do his stuff in.
Rangers have it. Lundstrom dropping him back into the left back position to take possession. Now it's Davies about 25 yards inside his own half. Goldson quickly closed down by Costello, but gets a pass off to Tavernier, and now Roof has just dropped off the front, tracked though by Phillips. Gets the pass to Rascan, now Lammers, and back with Tavernier. Rangers being quickly closed down by St Johnstone, who don't want to allow them the space to try to manufacture a move forward, but Lundstrom finds Yilmaz on the left-hand side. Midway inside the St Johnstone half, back with Lawrence, and now Yilmaz once more comes infield to Sima. Sima dropping off as well, and now Raskan quickly out to Tavernier right-hand side. Can he get the cross in? It's a low one this time. Robinson can only get it as far as Raskan. His shot came off at Lawrence, it seemed to me, and it's blocked away in the end, and then Goldson can only play it out on this near side for a St Johnstone throw as Raskan looked for a Rangers second there, but came off a couple of bodies and no real harm done. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Can't be looked at, surely, is it? Going to be looked at for a penalty?
I think it was it no Tom Lawrence that hit, to be honest. I thought it was a St Johnstone player.
I thought it came off Lawrence.
Over.
Yeah.
But that chance comes from like a double switch of play. It went into Roof. Roof should have switched the play initially when St Johnstone, and it would have been quicker. It eventually got across to Yilmaz, and then they come all the way back across to James Tavernier. It was better play for Rangers. They could just do that switch a little bit quicker.
Kucheravi going down, and Raskan's gone into the book there for the challenge on him. I didn't initially think there was all that much.
I agree with that. I think that was a yellow card. You know, if you're looking at Costello having hit one of his one, I think that's fair enough for Raskan as well.
Yeah, certainly if there's contact, I agree, Alan. I just didn't think that he'd really had been much contact, but the referees are in a much closer position than us, certainly, and he felt there was, so issues the yellow card to the Belgian Nico Raskan for the foul on Kucheravi, and St Johnstone will have a free kick about 10 yards inside the Rangers half.
There's something happening here with Considine going to be running forward for this area, is there?
Left to centre, Considine makes his way up now. Back post run to try and get in the end of Matt Smith, ball forward. He does get the head to it. It's a decent idea there from St Johnstone, but the header down is tamely into the arms of Jack Butland. We could see that materialising from up here, more difficult perhaps at pitch level to see that.
That was great, really good movement by St Johnstone. You know, Considine standing next to the ball, so you know something's up, because he would normally be in the box. It's played square to Smith, and Considine takes off, and Smith has a really nice diagonal. We just couldn't get enough on the header down into the danger area, but really good movement.
Lundstrom forward for Rangers to find Sima, takes it down on the right thigh, right hand side up towards the goal line, cuts it back for Roof. Roof nudges it back. It's not a great layoff for Tavernier, but Tavernier keeps possession and finds Lundstrom, who goes square to Raskan. Out to the left-hand side, he spots Yilmaz about 25 yards from the goal line. His attempted pass is cut out, but it'll go out for a throw-in, which is quickly taken into the feet of Lawrence. Lawrence touches it back to Davies, just inside the St Johnstone half, now into the centre circle for Goldson. Just about 10 minutes left of the 45, but we'll have, I would guess, 5 or 6 minutes of stoppage time because of the injuries in the wake of the goal to both Danilo and Liam Gordon, both of whom had to leave the pitch to be replaced with the head knocks, and that's the only goal of the game so far, that Danilo header past Dimitar Mitov on the quarter-hour mark, as Goldson finds Davies just inside his own half. Up to the halfway line he comes. Chris Kane goes across to close him down, gets the ball back from Lawrence though, and out with Yilmaz. Lawrence again about 15 yards inside St Johnstone half. Lundstrom is available. Just a bit of indecision there between Lundstrom and Lammers, but Rangers managed to keep it. It is Lammers in possession, right of centre. Touches it off to Tavernier, who comes in field, tries the ball with the outside of the right foot, but he gets it all wrong, and it's out for a throw-in on the far side. He was trying to find Yilmaz, but came off the instep rather than the outside of the boot as he was intending, and it's a St Johnstone throw-in.
Yeah, it was patient play by Rangers, but you just wonder, Kenny, if they can. They've been going Yilmaz to Davis to Goldson to Tavernier. Can they miss one out? Can they go Davis to Tavernier and move the ball quicker, because St Johnstone are still in their shape?
They absolutely can, and that's something you even see there. They're also looking for that run from Tavernier or Yilmaz to come in behind the St Johnstone back line rather than everything being in front. I've seen Goldson gesticulating to Yilmaz. I've seen Lawrence saying the same thing to Tavernier. They're wanting that out to in run for their fullbacks. It's the hardest thing to track, is that off the ball movement, particularly when it's coming from the opposite side.
Raskan's overhit that. Lundstrom manages to keep it in from Tavernier, but again it's just slightly loose play from Rangers, who have got the advantage, but they haven't quite clicked into gear as they would have hoped. There had been some promising positive play, but just breaking down at times as well. Cohesion still somewhat lacking in this Rangers performance, but Lundstrom found Lammers right hand side, just about 15 yards inside the St Johnstone half. Raskin now forward for Tavernier, onto Lammers, uses the shoulder and then gets a swerving effort at goal, but easily taken by Dimitar Mitov. Lacked the power to really test the Bulgarian as Lammers tried to just find the top corner with a precise effort, but Mitov easily able to take it. 7 minutes till the break. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Yeah, I think you'll find that was an attempted cross.
That's what I thought.
Not actual shot. It was actually good play between Tavernier, between Raskin and Lammers. Good movement. The end up. He's trying just to smash that across the goal. He just gets it wrong. Goes down as a shot on target though, Al.
I'll take your word for it, Kenny. as a man who's been out there on the grass. Yeah, it did end up on target, but it was never going to trouble Mitov in the end. Raskin demanding that Goldson comes forward, and he's frustrated with his centre back. Eventually it's back with Goldson as he looks over the top for Lawrence, and it just skids off the surface and through to Mitov. Not a bad idea from Goldson there to try and release Lawrence, but again, just with the communication there between Raskin and Goldson, it's clear that not everyone is quite on the same page out there for Rangers.
It's because he wants Goldson to be stepping up alongside him, which allows Tavernier to then go and be higher and be more an attacking threat. It's just basics of how they're trying to attack. You can see what they're trying to do, but if you're not going to get players into the right positions, then you're not going to get Tavernier in areas where he's most dangerous. The same with Yilmaz on the other side.
Costello forces it forward for Kane. He's well challenged by Davies, but he does manage to keep possession, and it's now Carey down the left hand side. Costello in support, back with Robinson about 15 yards from the goal line. Good ball for Carey, left hand side. Oh, he's gone beyond Goldson, and he had to be careful there, and he eventually just runs it out of play. But I thought for a second that Goldson might just clip his heels accidentally and go down inside the penalty area, but he managed to evade the defender altogether, but couldn't keep it in. It's a Rangers goal kick. 5 minutes to the break. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
That's nice play by St Johnstone on the left hand side, and you're right, I thought Goldson was going to nick him and pull him down, but he managed to stand up the defender, and Carey goes round him.
They've got some good players Al, on this left side through Robinson. They've got obviously Carey and Costello, who look like they could trouble the Rangers players if they can get, like you say, that foothold in the game.
Forward by Davies, beyond Roof, headed down by Considine, picked up by Lammers, right hand side for Rangers. You get 3 St Johnstone players round him and not a lot of support. Tries to force the ball in, gets a ricochet back in from Lammers. Again, Considine in the way before it reaches Roof. Robinson will complete the clearance and out for a throw into Rangers midway inside the St Johnstone half, right hand side, quickly taken by Raskin. Back to Goldson, more or less in the halfway line, into the feet of Lundstrom, quickly closed down by Phillips. Back with Goldson again, away from Carey he goes. He's taking a real chance there, Goldson. He's been dispossessed, but Sima digs him out of a hole and manages to poke the ball back to Raskin, who gets it back from Tavernier on the halfway line. Raskin, right hand side, looking up, looking for options, looking for movement. Into the feet of Sima it goes, out to the right hand side for Tavernier, and it almost falls kindly for Raskin, but Robinson got a crucial touch to take it back to his goalkeeper. 4 minutes of the 45 to go. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
And that's the cohesion that you're looking at the Rangers attacking play. You can see Raskin, and we could see a direct pathway through into where Sima probably should be. He eventually gets there, and it becomes a little bit kind of rushed, and Tavernier tried to get the return pass into him, but it was well defended. But I just think these Rangers attacking players at this moment, they're just not fully aware of what their teammates are looking for, and what they're actually, like, their movements are not really aligned at this moment.
Roof lets that run for Sima, and that is better. Back with Roof now. Sima once more on the edge of the penalty area. Gets the break of the ball, gets the shot away, but it's a tame one. And Mitov just goes down to his right and gathers that ball in. But that was better link-up play, certainly, between Roof and Sima.
Yeah, and you know, I think when you seen Roof coming in, I think it was his first start for a long time against Ross County a few weeks back. He made the difference in that regard, because he moves. He's a striker, so he wants to run beyond when the number 9 comes off. He's got good movement. He's a clever link-up player. He could be a really, really important player for Rangers if they are going to turn the corner and get this season back on track after a relatively poor start.
Davies under pressure from Kane, high up in the air. Davies will go and contest it once more. In came Kucheravi, but it breaks the way of Goldson eventually, who just nods it back to Butland. 2.5 minutes left, plus I would imagine lengthy stoppage time. Danilo's goal, the only one of the game so far, came on 16 minutes. But he suffered a head knock in scoring, as did Liam Gordon, in trying to stop him scoring, and both players have since departed. Here's Matt Smith, pokes it to Considine, manages to keep it in on the left hand side, back to Costello and then Phillips, and Sam McClelland picks up midway inside his own half. McClelland, the replacement for Gordon in the early stages. Ben Davies picks up the loose ball though for Rangers, back to his central defensive partner Goldson, who finds Rascan into the feet of Lammers on the halfway line, trying to spin away from Smith, back to Tavernier instead, and now Goldson midway inside his own half, just nudges that to the left for Davies, and back with Goldson. Lundstrom picks up on the halfway line, out to the right hand side for Tavernier. He's closed down by Costello. Lammers tries to get the ball back to him. It breaks eventually for Sima. Good defending though again by Considine, who was ultimately fouled by Sima. And he might not have the pace of Sima, Andy Considine, but the first yard or two's up top, Kenny, as they often say, as the veteran defender, has marshed them pretty well so far.
Yeah, and that's what like Sima just needs to understand that when he was playing against, sometimes you actually need to get the ball under control before you're actually trying to turn and get and use your strength, which is his pace. But it's really good defending for Andy Considine. He's just a step ahead, and he gets his body, gets his arm across Sima's chest, gets himself in position and buys the free kick.
A terrific professional over his whole career. You know, a lot of games for Aberdeen, come to St Johnstone as well, and has been very, very good.
Here's Yilmaz, left hand side, just turns it back the way to Lawrence on the halfway line, square for Goldson. Pretty pleasant day in Perth after a bit of a deluge over the last 24 hours, but the sun has begun to come out to play. Plenty of clouds though still in the sky as Tavernier comes forward, right hand side. It's another inviting ball into the box. Sima was just a yard behind it, but Yilmaz will keep it in on the far side, tries to get it in goal line, left hand side. Roof rises, but his header well over the top, couldn't rise sufficiently to get the header downwards instead, and it will be a St Johnstone goal kick as we approach injury time here at McDermott Park. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
That's another wonderful ball, and initially to James Tavernier. It found itself all the way through to the opposite side, and it was picked up by Ridvan Yilmaz. But you can see Roof, he straight away knows what's going on. He just peels away towards the backside of that penalty spot, and like you say, probably just a little bit too high for him. Couldn't get over it and get his header on target.
5 minutes added on at the end of this first half for the stoppage that followed the Rangers goal, with Danilo and Liam Gordon both suffering head knocks. St Johnstone though have got themselves a free kick inside the Rangers half for Ben Davies being all over Chris Kane as the ball came forward, and it's a decent looking position for St Johnstone to try and manufacture an attempt that might bring them the equaliser here before half time. It's about almost at the midway point. The Rangers half, right of centre. Graham Carey and Max Kucheravi over it. Both left footers looking to deliver, with the Rangers defence trying to hold the line about 5 or 6 yards outside the box. Clipped forward by Carey for Kucheravi, who just plays it into the arms of Jack Butland. Not a bad idea again as Kucheravi burst forward down the right channel, and Carey found him pretty well, but the ball into the box from Kucheravi wasn't good enough. Into the arms of Jack Butland. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Once again, nice move by St Johnstone. Just the final execution of the pass from Kucheravi just wasn't there. Again, it was on his weaker foot. He couldn't get enough on it, straight into the arms of Butland. But and very inventive by St Johnstone from set plays.
Well, that's the word I was just going to use. Very, very inventive. But I just can't help but think, with a minute to go, 2 minutes to go in the first half, would it be better just putting it in there and making Rangers actually defend? I mean, they've actually worked it really, really well. But again, they're not going to get away with that one again. Whereas at the end of the half, it might have been better just putting it into that second 6 yard box and letting the big lads go and attack it.
Yeah, I reckon there's something to be said for that, as Lammers sells Tavernier a bit short and St Johnstone pinch it, but Lammers managing to work it back. Phillips in to play it off Lammers. It'll be a St Johnstone throw in on the halfway line. A couple of minutes of injury time already played, 3 to go, as Robinson hurls it down the left for Costello, but it's gone straight out of play, and it will be a Rangers throw in taken by Tavernier back to Goldson, who turns it back to the 6 yard box to Butland with the ball at his feet, quickly closed down by Carey, but gets it clear up to the centre circle. McClelland nods it down for Smith. Forward it goes. Tavernier steps in before Kane can make anything of it, and then Lawrence was looking for Roof, but it's just behind him, and Smith picks up for St Johnstone, gets it back from Phillips, goes down under the attentions of Tom Lawrence. Again, it's the slightest touch, but enough to take him down, and enough for Nick Walsh to award the free kick on the half line, more or less, to St Johnstone. 1-0 they trail as half time is almost upon us. Kane back to Smith, left hand side is Robinson, closed down by Lammers, out of play for a Saints throw-in. Stephen McLean will be, you would imagine, satisfied enough that his team are still in the game, having been on the back foot. You would have to say they haven't really, well, certainly not managed to test Jack Butland. They haven't really, as you've been saying, Kenny, forced Rangers to defend at all in this first period.
No, they've not. I mean, there's a few occasions when, again, they got the corner, which actually then led to the goal, where they put the ball forward up to Costello. The free kick there when it went to Kane. Again, we talked about the start of the game up against Davies. It's probably a battle he quite fancies winning, but they've not done it enough. And you know, when they have had the opportunity, as much as they've been very, very inventive with the free kick for Considine and then the one for Kushiravi, they're not testing that goal of Rangers. They're not putting it under any real pressure.
Lundstrom goes in rather clumsily on Kushiravi, and St Johnstone have another free kick in the final few seconds of the first half, and maybe this one will go into the mixer, as it were. It's left of centre, about 35, maybe even 40 yards from goal, and again it's Kucheravi and Carey over it, and Rangers with the line at the edge of the penalty. Kucheravi again makes the run, this time down the left channel. Carey ignores him for the moment, and it looks like this one will just be played into, hopefully from St Johnstone's perspective, a dangerous area. Butland stands inside his 6-yard box, alert and ready to try and deal with the danger as Carey does send it in. It's away by goals and to the edge of the box. Roof was challenged and fouled by Kucheravi, and they're trying to keep the pressure on Rangers, but the free kick will go Rangers' way, and both players require attention in these final seconds of the first period.
I'm not so sure that was a free kick. I just think that's a coming together, and the referee's blown up because of his potential head knock again. Both guys' eyes was on the ball. We'll soon see.
Yeah, Roof's back on his feet, and Kucheravi just being checked by one of the St Johnstone medical team. He's fine as well. I thought Nick Walsh had given the free kick in Rangers' favour, but we'll see very shortly, as the half-time whistle is surely going to sound as soon as the game restarts here. I think you're actually right, Alan. It looks like it might be a drop ball as opposed to a free kick for the challenge. No, well, either way, it's, yeah, in fact, he's dropping it for Jack Butland. It's Rangers ball, but not a free kick, and eventually Butland just gathers it up and then rolls it out for Ben Davies. We've gone beyond the 5 minutes added on by about 35 seconds or so as Rangers come forward on the left hand side, but there is the half-time whistle at McDermott Park. Rangers coming into the game under significant pressure to get a result. Got the opening goal just after the quarter-hour mark. A terrific ball in from the right-hand side from their captain James Tavernier, and Danilo, given a start this afternoon, was in the 6-yard box to head past Dimitar Mitov under pressure from Liam Gordon, but the ball ended up in the back of the net, and both players, both Danilo and Gordon, injured in the process, and both having to be replaced because of substantial head knocks. But the goal stood, of course, and Rangers got their reward for some early pressure. They have been on top without overly troubling Mitov, though he was forced to make a good save for Danilo's replacement, Abdallah Sima, after 24 minutes after Sima got the better of Sam McClelland, but at the angle when perhaps a cutback for Lammers was the favoured option, he went for goal and Mitov was out to block his effort. There was another rather tame effort from Sima just before the break that Mitov got comfortably down to keep out. Rangers certainly dominating possession and territory, but haven't managed to get a second goal. St Johnstone still well in the game. At half-time at McDermott Park, St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
All the grounds, St Johnstone. All the games, all the action. Rangers on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Well, we spoke before the programme that Michael Beale desperately needed a win this afternoon. So far, so good. Leanne Crichton is alongside me in the studio. You would have taken a goal from anywhere, of course, Leanne, but I guess if he could have chosen, he would have gone for Danilo, because that's the big money signing, the guy that hasn't really featured so far, and it was a very well taken goal.
It was, yeah, very well worked. Great delivery from James Tavernier off the right hand side. Danilo occupied the defenders really well. His movement was good, kind of drew himself away from the ball and attacked it extremely well. Good power, good finesse and accuracy in the header, and just unfortunately for him, the coming together with himself and Liam Gordon off the back of it ended in both players leaving the field of play, which is unfortunate, especially in the early stages of the game like that. You're the striker, you're the talisman, you get the goal, you get your team in front, and then you're taking off. So and also with those types of head injuries, we know the protocols around it. You could be looking at a minimum of 10 to 12 days on the sidelines as a precaution. So they might now be without Danilo, having started him today, and positive signs in terms of his performance.
So St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1, possession 73% to Rangers, 6 shots for the away side to Saints 1, no shots on target for Saints, 4 shots on target. Alan Preston for Rangers. From a St Johnstone point of view, what needs to improve?
They need to try and get a foot in the hold in the game and get on the ball if they can, wider areas. I think they can get joy down the left hand side because Rangers like to push Tavernier on. There is a chance to get someone forward. Costello on that side's done okay at times. Robinson's able to back him up as well. Carey's looked dangerous. It's all come down the left hand side. Set plays, they've been very inventive, so we can look at that in the second half. If it's still 1-0, can they force the game? They're going to have to change something though, Kenny, because it's just waves of attack. Rangers get a lot of the ball, but I still think Rangers are moving it too slow. But if St Johnstone can hang in and it's still 1-0 with 15-20 minutes to go, Stevie McLean will start to push men forward. They'll start to change the shape a little bit, and they'll start to take more chances, and for them they'll be hoping to get right back in the game with that.
We spoke before the game, Kenny Miller, about the Rangers team. 6 changes made today by Michael Beale. What's worked for you?
I think obviously, again, Danilo through the middle as a number 9. I think fans have been screaming on that to actually happen. And obviously we've only seen a limited amount of him, obviously due to the injury, but he started brightly. I think Tom Lawrence coming into the team, I think he gives you something different. I'm really actually excited to see both Tom Lawrence and Todd Cantwell in the team, to be honest with you, because I think they're 2 wonderful football players who could really link up together. But I think it gives you forward running. He has looked, if anything, probably the most energetic in the Rangers front line of the changes that were made. So I think these guys getting into the team and getting up to speed, because they've not had a lot of minutes in first team football, like for Lawrence over a long time. But Danilo again coming to the club, I've just not seen enough of him, and again it's really unfortunate he's had to pick up an injury. But Kamar Roof again, he's always been a positive. He looks lively, he's been on the end of a cross, he does offer really good movement, and like I say, between Lawrence, between Roof, I think they've shown up pretty well. And I must say, I think Sima, once you give him the right type of service, which is over the top service, he balls in front of him that he can chase on and use his pace and his power, I think he's been pretty effective as well. And with that movement, Lammers can come into play, Roof can come into play, Lawrence can come into play. That's been pretty good. Again, on the defensive side, St Johnstone have not probably put Rangers under too much pressure. It's been quite a comfortable afternoon so far for the defenders in Jack Butland. But in an attacking sense, which is where you'd expect to see Rangers, Alan's right, they've probably moved that a little bit slower. There was maybe a wee 3 or 4 minutes after the goal where there was a wee bit more energy, a little bit more zip to their play, but it has fell flat again. So I think Michael will be looking for that cohesion to improve in the second half, and then to maybe give Sima more. I mean, give him more, and when he continues to stretch that game, particularly as the game goes on, nice spaces for the likes of Lawrence and Roof and Lammers might open up.
Kenny, if someone asked you to do a scouting report on Rangers, someone that hadn't seen the team before, what would it say? How would you describe the style of play under Michael Beale?
I mean, if I'm putting it politely, I would say patient is one word. I would say, I'll be honest, see, up until Ross County, I thought their movement up front was pretty poor, I'll be honest. I think I've seen real improvements, and even today, there's a little bit, I know you guys I've heard a lot about identities and styles and all that. I look for, again, identity, it's a different word, certain traits when you attack. over the last 3 or 4 games, I've seen traits starting to develop within the Rangers attacking play. So again, one of those traits is when the ball comes wide so for instance the goal, it was Lammers, Tavernier's making that into outrun behind the fullback into the space to exploit it. The pass goes, the goal comes from it. That has also happened on a numerous amount of times in this game. When Tavernier's getting the ball wide, it could be Lammers running on, and then the one we talked about, it actually doesn't always need to go to the runner, because the runner can attract Andy Considine, but it then goes into Daniil's feet. Danilo then turns and gives the pass away. These are traits and these are identities to start, attacking identities that start to develop as a team come together and become a bit more cohesive. So if I'm doing a scouting report, initially it would be there's not a lot of movement, but I think it's something that is coming within Rangers play as the games go past, and it makes them more of an effective attacking unit. By the way, there's still a lot of improvements that can go on there, but in terms of certain small things, forward running for Tom Lawrence, I've seen Todd Cantwell do it over the last few weeks as well. It's something that was really limited, because there's players, for instance Lammers is very rarely going to run beyond the striker. I don't think that's in his DNA to actually go do that. But Todd Cantwell can do it. Tom Lawrence can do it. I think if Danilo was playing in a deeper role, by the way, Kamar Roof can do it. Seen him do it numerous times as well for Ross County and through to today. So I think they're becoming better in an attacking sense. By the way, far from the finished article. A lot of improvements still to become. But I do see certain traits starting to develop within their attacking play.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Kenny. I think there's probably a lot of variation to the play and probably some freedom, I would say. It looks as if Michael Beale is giving the players a licence to interchange, to move, to fill areas if other players vacate, to go and fill those wide areas, forward runs as you mentioned, from midfield and attack. At times it just breaks down because you probably have brought together a number of new players that are not quite in the same wavelength and they've not got that continuity yet. And that might come in time, but I think regardless, there's key things in the game, like you've got to have that number 9 that occupies, that stretches the game, that links the game, gives you that focal point as a team. I think at times Rangers in recent games, when I've watched them, they don't even carry that, because you've got players that want to drop to feet all the time. You've maybe got 2 players coming to feet at the same time, and you don't then have that natural width in the outside. But they had that early on in the game today. I felt like Danilo was giving them that. He looked as if he was pushing the St Johnstone backline a lot deeper, which happened for the goal. And at the point Rangers scored, I think St Johnstone had about 7 bodies inside the box, 4 players that weren't picking up, and Danilo's movement was very good in between the 2 centre backs and Gordon and Considine, who neither of them picked them up. And the deliveries off the sides for me in Tavernier is very good. You'd probably just need that same consistency off the left hand side, or a different variation in delivery off the left hand side. But there's decent players in there. It's just bringing it all together, and it doesn't happen overnight. I know that as a player myself, and as a coach it's really hard to achieve.
And what I'd also say on it is yes, it does take time, and yes, you can say it's maybe Michael giving players a little bit of freedom, but as you know, again, Leanne, when you're in coaching, you can't coach every and paint the picture for every scenario on a pitch, and that's where I say the players have to understand that they have to take a responsibility. Like, so when they see a teammate move, you're moving into a different area, you're making a different run. If it's Sima is stretching the game, can the pass maybe go into the feet of Lammers or Roof? If Roof's running off, can Danilo or Sima be going opposite movements, giving the defenders constant questions to ask, whether they're tracking runners, whether they're dropping with the striker. But if you've not got that, defenders can just stand in the line and keep their eye on the ball, keep their eye on their man, and there's not any movement. So listen, it is going to take time, because that cohesion is clearly not there, but I have seen developments and improvements in it over the last week. But I'm going to go back to it. Players have to recognise this, because the coach and the manager cannot identify every type of scenario that's going to occur in a game. Players need to take responsibility and actually show why they're at the club. They're at the club to be good players and actually go and perform and make good decisions. Those decisions, by the way, probably the majority of them, you actually need to make without your manager telling you what to do.
Yeah, so improvements, Alan Preston, from Rangers today. Small steps, I think it's fair to say. Leanne mentioned there the dreadful defending for the goal. Steve McLean will be livid with that. In terms of affecting things at the other end of the park, in terms of personnel, what options does he have?
He's got Stevie May and Jeffcott. They're 2. Jeffcott's a big, powerful lad. I'm sure he'll come on, and Stevie May, because Chris Kane's been out, I think it's 20 months since he last started the game, so he won't last, I wouldn't imagine. He's done okay. It's been, not great being up there on your own at times, trying to contain with Davis and Golson, but he's worked his socks off as he always does, but there'll be time, and there'll be maybe 15-20 minutes into the second half where there'll be changes made. If it's still 1-0, they're still in the game. I can see Jeffcott and I can see May coming on. They have young Tony Gallagher as well, young lad from Liverpool, who's obviously here now, and he can come and play on the left, because Costello started the game really well but then picked up a yellow card and has faded out a little bit. I'd like to see more from Kusharavi, I really would. I think he has been difficult for him out there. I think that Yilmaz has played on very well so far. But St Johnstone, they've got to believe, and they will. Stephen McLean's a positive manager. He'll be in there with his team and he'll be telling them, we believe in the second half, we'll come out, we'll get chances, and even if it's just that one chance, let me just take that just for them to get back in the game. But while it's 1-0, they're very much in this game, Kenny.
And in terms of belief, Alan, looking across the season, they're bottom of the table right now as things stand, with just 2 points if it remains at less than their opening 5 games. What concerns do you have for your former club?
I think that the way they started the season, but that is mainly down to the personnel. 11 new players coming into the squad. They then lost. May was out for a period of time. Nicky Clark's been out for a long period of time now. Hopefully he's not too far away. Chris Kane, and that's where St Johnstone, their season will be defined if they can get someone to score them goals. If they can't, I think it's going to be a struggle, because defensively they've been okay over the years, but they need someone to score them 10, 12, 15 goals. You know, Stevie May had a purple patch, Stevie McLean, when he played. In years gone by, that Dave Mackay would chip in with 8 or 10 goals, Witherspoon would score goals, Murray Davidson. They don't seem to have that, and they need to get someone, whether it be Clark, whether it be May, whether it be Kane, that's going to put that ball in the back of the net for them to keep them up, because that, for me, that's what is a battle now. It's not a battle for top 6, it's a battle to keep them in the division, even this early.
So Rangers, Leanne, with the noses in front, we were chatting earlier about the fixtures that are coming up. The message from Michael Beale, of course they'll get a European game during the week, but the message will be today, get the 3 points, put a bit of pressure today on Celtic. They're at home to Dundee this afternoon, that's our second commentary match, but the games that are coming up after that will look favourable to Rangers, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that they'll have that home advantage is huge. I think you're always a better side at home. Going up against, as I mentioned earlier, Motherwell will be the next home game. A side just now that currently sit above them in the division, Aberdeen, who've not had a great start to the season, poor by any stretch. Also at home, they'll then travel away to St Mirren, which again a side that are currently above them in the division, but that can all change by the time that game comes round. It'll be a tough game, and then they're at home to Hibs, again a side who are not having the best start to the season. So yeah, get the 3 points this afternoon would be the message. If you can keep the clean sheet, whether it remains 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, whatever it may be, 3 points is absolutely all that matters. In all of these games, 3 points is all that matters when you're under pressure. If in that time you can start to find form, and then you start, as I think as Old Firm goes, you look across the city and see what your counterparts are getting up to. And when you look at the Celtic fixtures, which we can probably touch on later in Open All Mics, theirs actually looks less favourable when you look at the two different sides and what it shapes up like. So, but 3 points it is all you're looking for. As I said, with the early kick-off, it's huge. You need to get the job done, put pressure on Celtic, Motherwell, St Mirren, the teams above you in the table, and see what happens with the rest of the afternoon. Yeah, a full top flight card for you today. Just a marker, the Livingston team bus has broken down between Aviemore and Dingwall, and they have requested a delay to kick off in that game, so keep you posted on that. Looks very likely now a delay in that game, Ross County against Livingston. Let's then get back to our first commentary of the afternoon. St Johnstone against Rangers with Alan Preston, Kenny Miller and Alistair Lamont.
Yeah, back underway for the second half. St Johnstone kicking us off. No one got fewer home points last season in the Premiership than St Johnstone, and the draw against Dundee here last time out is the only time they've avoided defeat at home so far this season, losing 3 as Lammers goes in rather heavily over on the far side, and it will be a St Johnstone free kick. Nice sunshine actually here now in Perth as it begins to warm up a couple of degrees, but still this game very much all to play for. Rangers having enjoyed the better of the first period with a goal advantage, but St Johnstone now with a free kick over on the left hand side and a chance for Graham Carey to try and put some early pressure on the Rangers defence with a good delivery here into this penalty area. It comes, it's eventually cleared by Roof. It looked like it was going to bobble about a little bit in there with a bit of indecision to begin with, but Roof hammers it forward. Now it's Lawrence, and he's taken out of play there by Matt Smith, and that's definitely going to be a yellow card, because Rangers potentially were going to be away on the counter once more, and an early second half booking for the centre midfielder Matt Smith of St Johnstone.
That must be the frustrating thing for Stephen McLean, because again, the free kick, the ball's kicked out and it's a free header back into the box, but they're exposed man for man at the back. Smith's turned, he has no other thing on his mind but to pull the Rangers player down, and he has to take the yellow card.
Davies has it at the back for Rangers, feeds it forward for Lawrence. It's knocked off Lawrence by McClelland, and then breaks kindly for Dimitar Mitov in the St Johnstone goal, who gathers before Sima can get there. And it's still 1-0 to the visitors. Bowled out overarm by Mitov for Robinson to pile forward down the left hand side. Now it's Costello, faced up by Tavernier, tries to nick the ball beyond him, but he's just played it out for a goal kick rather tamely, the winger there. And Jack Butland has the ball back in his possession. A couple of minutes gone in this second period. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
It's so annoying that when you give Robinson's ran 50-60 yards with the ball, he gives it to Costello. Costello loses it, and then the first thing the winger does is berate his fullback.
Now you've played both positions, Alan, so you
annoys me, that, Alistair, honestly.
Here's Goldson just outside his own penalty area. Back to Butland, quickly closed down. Gets it clear, good pass for Lawrence, who has Yilmaz outside him. I'm not sure why he didn't use him, goes through the middle instead for Sima, and that's defended well by a combination of Considine and McClellan, but the pass looked on to Yilmaz, who was bursting down the left hand side, Kenny.
Yeah, it was a brilliant pass out for Jack Butland to find Tom Lawrence, and he had sucked the full back in, and like you say, he had created that space just to roll it out for Yilmaz. If he had just kind of held on to it a little bit longer, he could have allowed Yilmaz to be actually on the back line, released him, and he would have had half a pitch to run into.
St Johnstone have it, right hand side. That's a good bit of play there from Olafunwa, trying to link with Carey, but Rangers have got it back. But Davies has sold his goalkeeper shot. Down goes Chris Kane, under pressure from the goalkeeper. Nothing given by Nick Walsh as St Johnstone howl for a penalty. It was a poor back pass by Ben Davies, and it will certainly be looked at by VAR, who is Gavin Duncan this afternoon. But Nick Walsh decided there was no contact there between the goalkeeper and Chris Kane, who went to ground, and it's out now for a throw-in, and now we'll have the chance for the VAR to check out what happened.
My honest opinion, first time he's seen it, I don't think it's a penalty, and I think you can also look at the reaction of Chris Kane, because if he thinks he's been fouled, he's going crazy in that box. He just sits up with his arms out. I don't think it is, but that's me just seeing it live.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there is a lot of contact, but as we know, when VAR are looking at it, if there is any contact at all, Nick Walsh will be called upon. But let's check over.
Yeah, the VAR, Gavin Duncan agreeing with you, Alan. There was nothing in that, but certainly Ben Davies putting his side in trouble there.
I've always been a believer, Alistair, when if somebody feels hard done by, you can tell by the way they react. And Chris Kane there just sat up. He just sat and had his arms out as if to say, is it a penalty? I'm not sure. As where if he has been brought down, he'd be going crazy.
Yeah, bang on, because there was no contact, or very, very little contact. He could definitely have stood up. He's back, he's round, he's got a tap in and an empty goal. Always kind of it bemuses me when strikers choose that kind of action there, because you've got an open goal.
Here's Costello for St Johnstone. Carey for Kane, back with Carey just outside the Rangers penalty. Left hand side is Robinson, trying to get the cross in. It's a deep one. Butland has to back pedal and touch over his own crossbar. Couldn't be sure that was going to go over of its own accord, and just touches it over the bar in the end. For St Johnstone corner, better from the home side.
Yeah, it's a cross into the box from Robinson. It's not a shot. The keeper has to react, but it's been a good start to the second half by St Johnstone.
Certainly offering more in an attacking area than they did in the entirety of that first period. It's a corner kick here on the right hand side to be taken left footed by Kucheravi. And it comes as a St Johnstone player, Chris Kane, hits the deck. It's to the back post. Again, nothing given by the referee, but howls from the home crowd. But there was a foul as Lundstrom plays it forward, and now Sima could be in here. Sima has a crucial touch there from Robinson, and Mitov able to come out and just knock it out for a throw-in. But if Robinson hadn't got the touch there, Sima was away.
you know, I thought he should have been away. I thought the minute that ball dropped at Lundstrom, he should have just took off. There was over half a pitch to run into. I just think we'd love to see it again, as he just hesitated with his run, but it was a brilliant touch. He was going to be through one-on-one, Seema.
They must be looking at the block in the box on Chris Kane.
Yeah, they are indeed. I've just seen a rerun of it myself, as I think he was trying to escape the attentions of Tom Lawrence, and it was an arm round Chris Kane to an extent, and maybe there was a clip on his foot as well as he tried to escape. Kane, I don't know if you can see much from that angle of the monitor, which is away to our right, but it's another one for Gavin Duncan to look at in the VAR.
I think there could be a call across here, because there is a coming together of players, but it's just, you can't get away with anything in a box now when you've got VAR there. It does look like Chris Kane is ahead of Tom Lawrence, and Tom Lawrence is trying to gain ground, but he's went again.
Check over again, play continues. But as you say, Kenny, I mean, the players must know now that everything inside the penalty area is going to be examined closely, and they have to be so wary of any contact whatsoever. But Tom Lawrence getting off with that one, certainly, as Seema goes and attacks it. Seema is offside though, but yeah, just following that coming together between Kane and Lawrence, there was a chance up the other end. Lundstrom tried to release Seema. Maybe if there'd just been a little bit more in the pass as well from Lundstrom to allow Seema to race free, but credit has to go to Luke Robinson as well for the touch that he got on the ball through. It was a brilliant touch, because I say Seema, had he got the run on Robinson, he was not going to get back to him. So it was a brilliant touch that stopped a potential goal scoring opportunity. 53 minutes in, still St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1, but St Johnstone have had more of the attacking play in the second period than they enjoyed in the first, that's for sure. Rangers still look a threat on the counter as Yilmaz prepares to take the throw in midway inside his own half, left hand side, waving his teammates forward, then goes into the midriff of Roof, but he's lost out to Kucheravi, and now it's Smith driving towards the Rangers penalty area. They've always had a good old talking to at half time, St Johnstone, as the ball's played into the 6-yard box, and Costello within centimetres of connecting with Carey's cross. Behind it goes for a goal kick, but my goodness, that was close.
That was a great ball in from Carey, really good on his left foot, cuts back, wonderful ball in. Kane's not far away, Costello must have been inches away from knocking that into the back of the net. Really good play by St Johnstone. It's a different St Johnstone at the start of the second half. They need to keep it up.
It certainly is. Another close call inside the Rangers penalty area. I know that our pitch side reporter Mark Downs had an opportunity to closely examine that VAR check on Tom Lawrence on Kane, but we'll hear about that in a second as Roof comes into the penalty area and wins himself a corner. Martin, what have you seen?
Yeah, I think it probably feels like the right decision. Tom Lawrence definitely has his hands on Kane, but I think the argument would be that Kane was down a little bit softly. There's not too much in it.
Thanks, Martin. Rangers have a corner then as they look to give themselves a cushion in the game, leading by a goal to 0, but a second goal could make so much difference, especially they don't want to be going into a nervy final 20 minutes or so with just the one goal advantage. Here's Tavernier then from the left hand side, right footed, sends it to the back post. Davies and Goldson both attack it. Overhead kick from Seema, never in any danger of being on target. Behind for a goal kick. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Yeah, it's been a good start from St Johnstone. You know, I don't think he's made too much changes at half time, as in, you know, shape wise it seems to be the same. Carey's just off of Kane. You know, but St Johnstone, I think they're maybe playing 5 or 10 yards further up the park. Raskin's not getting as much room, Lundstrom the same. They're trying to get in the Rangers players' faces.
Here's Lammers inside his own half, back to Tavernier. Yeah, certainly a bit more intensity from the St Johnstone players. Rangers trying to play around them there, and Raskin's got the better of Phillips. Can he feed Seema on the right hand side? Seema looking for Roof. It's cut out well by McClellan inside his own 6-yard box at the expense of a corner.
It's great play for Raskin. I just feel he maybe made the wrong choice. I think he could have slipped Kamal Roof in. He was already on the run, but he was going to take one touch past McClellan, he would have been on goal. They chose to go out to Seema, who then tried to find Roof. Good defending, chance for the corner for Rangers.
Not a clue what Dan Phillips is doing there. He pulls out a challenge. He's a robust player. He pulls out the challenge with Raskin. He's got to go and win the ball.
And he was favourite as well, wasn't he?
Lammers with the corner then on the right hand side for Rangers. 11 minutes into the second period. Out swinger. And Nick Walsh has spotted something going on inside the penalty area. And it's been a St Johnstone. Actually, did it swing out before it came back in? That's what it was. It was actually Tom Lawrence, I beg your pardon, who took the corner.
It's a free kick.
No, it is a free kick that was given.
That's twice in like a minute. I think Rangers have just made the wrong choice. Sima laid it off to Roof. I think Roof should have gave it back to Sima as it was on the run. Roof chose to go 1v1. This time it was Raskin. He chose to go to Sima rather than go to Roof. Wee things, these wee little decisions, they're not like overly going to cost Rangers, but I think they've maybe just cost them an opportunity, a better goal scoring opportunity than what the decision was actually made.
Yeah, mentioned that in the first half, about that kind of final ball, final decision in that critical area of the pitch where the difference between a goal and a missed chance is so slim at times.
Yes, and it's easy to up here as well when we can see the whole picture. I get that, but oh my goodness,
that's dreadful.
Yilmaz who's fouled Kucheravi. He got up far too early for the header and he was trying to almost hang in the air, but he's gone in very high on Kucheravi as a result of that, and I don't think it was intentional, but it looked very, very poor from Yilmaz, and I wonder if the VAR will have a look at that.
It's totally mistimes his jump. He's up in the air and it's like a karate kick on the side.
Yeah. He's had a talking to certainly from Nick Walsh, who I think realises it was unintentional, it was just mistimed, wasn't it? But nonetheless, it could have really endangered Kucheravi there. He did catch him high, but the free kick has been awarded certainly midway inside the Rangers half, right of centre, and it doesn't appear that VAR Gavin Duncan is having more than a passing glance at that incident, but it will be a free kick to the home side. 13 minutes into the second period, 1-0 they trail as Smith and Kucheravi stand over the free kick. Kucheravi leaves it, Smith angles it towards the back post, but no St Johnstone player can get on the end of it. McClellan was closest to it, but it goes all the way out for a goal kick. And as we approach the hour mark of the game, it's still a 1-goal advantage held by Michael Beale's side, but he'll certainly want to add to that before too much longer as Lammers plays it forward. Sima doing his best to just chest that on to Raskin. Was a handball there from Considine? Yes. And it's a free kick to Rangers, which Lammers tries to take quickly out to this near side. It's a good ball for Lawrence. Lawrence up to the penalty there. Poor first touch, takes him away from goal, but still he has it. Lawrence driving inside. Good block there by Olafunwa. Comes all the way to the right hand side for Lammers, who can only hit the side netting with a right footed effort from the right hand side of the box. 59 on the clock. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
Now, there's a chance for Lammers at the back post there, but he just never looks comfortable with coming onto his right foot there, and he has a slash at it and it goes into the side netting.
Well, that's two he's had like that. Maybe the third one will maybe hit his mark.
Lawrence with a better first touch might have had an opportunity to get a shot away himself earlier on, but eventually was blocked out by Olafunwa. But I mean, the next goal in this game, I know it's an old cliche, but it is absolutely crucial as to which way it goes and which way the game might then turn as a result of that. Rangers get it, you've got to say the game's probably dead and buried. St Johnstone get it, and who knows what will happen.
Well, listen, it becomes game on, and what happens is all the pressure that this Rangers team are feeling coming into it will absolutely...
There's a yellow.
Yeah, Kane going in late on Ben Davies here, just catching him as he tried to close him down, and Nick Walsh does issue the yellow card to the striker. Playing his, or starting his first game since January 2022. Terrible time of injuries he's had, the striker, but trying to impose himself on the game there, but just catching Ben Davies late. It will be a free kick to Rangers midway inside their own half. An hour gone.
It's possibly madness as well with Chrissy Kane. You know, he's worked his socks off as he always does. He doesn't know any other way, and it's maybe time where, you know, Stevie McLean just has a look and maybe gets Stevie May on or Jeff Cott on, just giving him a rest.
Lammers can't keep possession. St Johnstone have it back, but it's given away by Phillips, and Raskin drives Rangers forward. Lawrence just has to hold up. Raskin once more outside the penalty area. Yilmaz in support. Yilmaz will catch this one. It's away from Phillips. Was he caught there? That's who. I don't know again why does he not just play on rather than questioning for the free kick? And St Johnstone win it back, and Nick Walsh wasn't interested in awarding the free kick as Yilmaz does get it back, looks for Tom Lawrence in the edge of the box, well defended by St Johnstone. Yilmaz picks up once more, goes for goal, well over the top from Yilmaz, and now he complains again to Nick Walsh that he should have had a free kick, but it does remain St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
And that's just another, that's one of these decisions, it's just a bad decision, you know. It drops, he's 35, 36 yards out, he's trying to hit a half volley through a rookie players at a goal. And it looked like it was through anger that he never got the free kick. Just pass the ball to your teammate.
Davies rises above Kane to win the header. Smith heads it back forward for St Johnstone. Goldson sends it forward once more. Picked up by Costello against Tavernier. Costello forward to the edge of the box for Kane. Kane under pressure from Davies, gets the pass off to Costello as he fouled. It comes out to Robinson, into the box it comes. Chris Kane, he completely misses it. It'll come from Olafunma, stabs it towards goal. Davies gets the block in with the header. Robinson back into the danger area. Lundstrom clear. Rangers living dangerously at the back, but they've managed to get it clear. But chances there. If Chris Kane had been able to connect with the effort, that might well have been the equaliser.
That should have been the equaliser, Alistair. It's a cutback and it kind of got blocked and it falls into his path round about the penalty spot. This might be rust as well, it might be tiredness, but it's a clean shot and he has a wild swipe and makes absolutely no contact with the ball. That should be 1-1.
And you know what, Olafunma does well in the end as well.
Here's Sima, yes, offside. I think the flag went up but it's come back down. Sima cuts it back for Roof. It's in the back of the net, but the offside flag did go up earlier and Nick Walsh has pointed for the offside. Rangers celebrations curtailed once more. The offside flag, I mean, this is the thing, it's not meant to go up as early as it did, and the assistant referee put it up and immediately brought it back down and play continued.
By the way, I don't think is he offside? He's maybe getting played on by the right side centre back.
Yeah, it might be, but I think that...
So at least Nick Walsh has actually done the right thing. He's not reacted to the flag, he's allowed the play to continue, because this might be, I don't know if this is offside. Very, very tight, I'm sure of that. Brilliant play for Sima, actually.
Yeah, the VAR is having a look at it. I mean, the assistant's flag went up immediately, the ball was played forward to Sima, and then he whipped it back down, obviously realising he'd put it up too early. The play continued. I suppose St Johnstone's argument would be, well, I guess you say play to the whistle, but if they've seen that flag, they'd be, almost entitled to say that had an impact on what my decision making.
If this is a goal, it's not great on the officials. It is on the referee. The referee's done the right thing, but the assistant on the far side, it's not great on him there, because you're right. We've seen it straight away, and I think, what is it for? Is he pulled up for a foul? Is it offside? What is it? And he should have just let the play continue. That's what they're told to do.
And the thing is, Nick Walsh is the one that's done the right thing. The referee's made the mistake, but if this gave it anyway, so it's immaterial.
Yeah, they're given the offside, and it's very marginal, as you can see from the monitor.
I think initially when it's a ball played back that he's offside then, when it's clipped forward. I think to wait and see it again.
Free kicks in Johnstone then. Rangers' second goal, as they thought they had, is disallowed for an offside. But fine margins again.
There's one relieved official over the far side.
Absolutely, assistant on the far side, hugely relieved at that. Rangers have it, still leading them by a goal to nil. 65 minutes in. Danilo in the first half with the crucial goal so far, as Raskin picks up on the halfway line, looks to go out to the left hand side. Olafunma gets a header in, then a second header to Phillips. Phillips turns away from Roof. Good play from Phillips, and now play is going to be stopped, and Phillips is annoyed that the advantage wasn't played by Nick Walsh there, as he had stepped away from a couple of challenges. But the free kick goes St Johnstone's way, midway inside their own half, and they're still very much in this game, Alan Preston.
Yeah, they are. That's what, 65 on the clock. Steve will start to look at his bench now. He's already made one change already, enforced, with the captain going off and McClellan coming on. But I think he's sending 3 out now to go and get warmed up. I think he must be looking at, Chrissy Kane possibly coming off, Costello on the left-hand side possibly as well. If they can get someone on, fresh legs, bit more impetus, you just never know.
Rangers have a throw-in on the near side, midway inside their own half, to be taken by Irfan Yilmaz. The young Turk. Told to get on with it by Nick Walsh. Down the left it goes. Phillips first to it, heads it forward for Kane. Now Carey, right hand side for St Johnstone, goes back the way to McClellan. McClellan just inside his own half. Infield to Considine. Considine for Smith. Smith, rather wayward pass, forces Robinson back. Rangers will try and press St Johnstone back now as the ball's played back to Mitov, who covers first time over the halfway line. Kane and Goldson contest the high ball, breaks the way of Costello. Lundstrom battling away with him, breaks for the way of Roof. Phillips caught him as the ball's played out to the right hand side. Now it's Sima looking to test the pace of Robinson. Still Sima. Robinson with a good challenge in the end, manages to win it back for St Johnstone. Then he's given it away to Tavernier. He looks for Lammers. Smith in the way and out for a throw on the far side as we approach the midway point in the first half. Still a slender advantage for the visitors.
It's a more competitive second half.
Here's Lundstrom, good turn, but tries the rather ambitious shot, blocked back the way of Sima. Sima forward for Tavernier. Considine just sees it out of play, and a goal kick goes the way of St Johnstone. 1-0 Rangers.
Yeah, I was saying there, it was more competitive. You know, St Johnstone are playing further up the park, further into the Rangers players' faces. Rascan and Lundstrom aren't get as much time on the ball. That first half, if it was easy for them just to knock it about between each other and just play passes from left to right, this time they've stepped on St Johnstone. Smith, Phillips have all moved on further up the park and closing the Rangers players down. It's more difficult for Rangers.
Incidentally, I heard at half time from Martin Dowden, our pitch side reporter, that both of the substitutions earlier on were down as concussion substitutions, so both sides from that point of view would still have their full 5 substitutes available beyond the ones they've already made.
It's one of the better rules that they've come away with.
I agree. Goldson out to the right hand side for Lammers, who perhaps hasn't made the impression he would have hoped, the Rangers fans would have hoped, and he's given it away. He's trying to win it back from Carey. Phillips though gets the pass off to Smith. Carey once more, he's lost it to Lundstrom in a dangerous area. Lundstrom now slides it to Sima inside the penalty area, left hand side. Standing him up is McClellan, tries to take him on, but McClellan does well at the expense of a corner, just makes the interception. There will be a Rangers corner on the left hand side.
That's 2 or 3 times now, Alan, that's happened. St Johnstone midfielders losing the ball in the middle of the pitch to Rascan, to Lundstrom. You're putting your defence under so much pressure in those situations.
It's Carey, you know, he's trying to nutmeg someone. Lundstrom in the middle of the park. You know, game-related incidents like this could cost you the game. You know, instead of being up the park with a sensible pass, you've tried a nutmeg, you've lost it, now you're facing a corner.
Yeah, great if it comes off, but pretty dodgy decision making as Nick Walsh tries to ensure there's no nonsense going on inside the 6-yard box before this corner kick is taken by James Tavernier. Stevie May's stripped down below us, but it won't happen before this corner kick is taken. Tavernier and Lawrence stand over it, but Lawrence leaves the scene. Tavernier back post ball, good glove to it, but Goldson get the strike away, but it's over the top from Goldson. He was never really set to take that on his left foot. Pretty ambitious from the centre back as Stevie May prepares to come on, and you would imagine that would be a straight swap for Chris Kane.
No, it's not. Kusharavi is being bold.
Well,
as we said, you know, it's got to be bold. We've now got to within 20 minutes of the final whistle. So Stevie May will come and play just off of Chris Kane. So it'll be Kane up, May off him. And very, very bold from Stevie McLean. Carey one side, Stello on the other side.
Goal kick taken by Mitov. We've got 20 minutes left of the 90. Rangers lead by a goal to 0. Looking to narrow the gap on the teams above them prior to the 3 o'clock kick-offs. Remember, live commentary to come of Celtic against Dundee and open all mics with reporters at all the top flight games and a couple in the Championship as well. And Kenny will always keep you across all the goals that go in elsewhere in the country. As again, St Johnstone give the ball away in a dangerous area. It's Roof this time to pick up and feed Tavernier right hand side. Early ball into the box, it comes off Robinson, who's having a go at his more experienced counterparts in the middle of the park because they have been lax on occasion. And as you said, Alan, just a moment ago, it could really cost St Johnstone.
And again, you know, this time it's Smith. He just looks tired. It's a miscontrol in the middle of the park and Rangers are on the attack. and instead of them attacking and, you know, with the positive change that the manager's made, they're now having to defend yet another corner.
Yeah, corner kick from the right-hand side is taken by Lawrence, back to Tavernier. Tavernier sweeps it in, rising was Roof. He can't get a clean header, and there's a free kick that's gone St Johnston's way. Why on earth does he stop to play there with Considine breaking out of the penalty area and no Rangers player near him?
Stevie McLean's going crazy at the fourth official, and he's right enough to do that. If he thinks it's a foul, which it is, let the game, you know, play on. Considine's got maybe 40 yards with no one near him. Stevie McLean's going mad down there.
I'm not sure how fast Considine would have got up the pitch right enough. But
yeah, I get that, but it's not the point, Kenny. It's, you know, the referee's too quick with his whistle there.
There might be a check going on here, but I'll tell you what is going to happen. Stephen McLean's going to get booked for his reaction there.
But no, listen, you can't do it. I get that, but that all comes because the referee blows up too quick.
Ravi Matondo preparing to come on for Rangers. The fourth official gets
Lammers, you'd think,
board ready. Yeah, I mean Lammers, he's not done enough, Kenny, has he?
Nah, he's not. I mean, the only reason I thought he might have took Lawrence off because it is his first game in such a long time, but there's no doubt he's affected this game and been a more positive attacking threat than what Lammers has in the game. A lot of nice touches, a lot of but there's not a lot of penetration. There's very, very little energy, and off the ball, as you've seen right at the start of the second half, trying to chase Robinson back. He's not really got that pace to get back either.
That's the first time I've seen him, Kenny, live. Is that his play he plays out there, wide and the right?
Inside, but he's in this way, he's inside, so he's playing as one of these inside forwards in behind the front, in behind the striker. But like you say, there's no real pace or penetration.
Rangers have, with that substitution, Kenny, changed the makeup of that front four. Roof's gone through the middle with Lawrence in behind him and Sima out to the right. Yep. Matondo on the left as Roof gets the break of the ball. On the right-hand side of the penalty, Considine with him, he plays it for Sima. Sima into the box it comes. McClelland in a good position just to knock it away, and it's out of play over on the far side. It'll be a St Johnstone throw. But it's interesting you ask that question, Alan, about where Lammers plays, because you could question a number of, I mean, in a positive sense, there's a fluidity about Rangers' ability to mix it up in that sense, Kenny, but also you're asking about what is their best position.
Yeah, there has been. I think, like you say, there's a positive side. I think between Roof and Sima, if Roof's the 10, you can go one shorter, one longer, and that can change. But yeah, you're right, with Lammers there's a question marks over him.
Here's Lawrence inside the penalty, he goes for goal, well held by Mitov. It was straight at him more or less. Lawrence got plenty of power behind it though, and Mitov had to get down, and he held it well. Still St Johnstone nil, Rangers 1:74 on the clock.
It would have taken a special hit to be a goalkeeper for there, but again, good positive play for Tom Lawrence, getting up and supporting the striker, beyond the striker, and getting on the end through passes. That's what Rangers have missed over the last kind of year or so in Tom Lawrence's absence.
St Johnstone will still feel there is something in this game for them, trailing by a 1-0 with just over a quarter of an hour left. As Sima picks up now, playing out on the right hand side, but he runs into bother from Matt Smith, and it's a good ball for Chris Kane now out to the right hand side for Carey, who's come out to this right hand side to play up against Yilmaz. A couple of step overs, Yilmaz trying to get back at him, still it's Carey though, and eventually Yilmaz does enough to knock it behind for a corner kick on the right hand side for St Johnstone. 75 played.
Brilliant ability Carey has, but he just lacks that yard of pace. You know, he goes by Yilmaz there, but the defender gets back, knocks out for a corner. Another chance for St Johnstone, loading the box again, they're all up. McClelland, Considine, Stevie May's in there as well now.
Carey, right hand side, left footed. Butland hasn't got there, but he's gone all the way beyond him and behind for a goal kick on the far side, as Butland was on the stretch but didn't get anything on it, fortunately for him. No St Johnstone players lurking.
I just thought on that last attack there, Alistair, that both Roof and Lawrence and even Sima, as much as he came on as an early sub, I think they're looking a little bit leggy, and the game just got a little bit stretched. Chris Kane managed to find a wee space in behind the Rangers midfield. It's something Michael will need to keep an eye on.
Rangers have it deep inside their own half. Goldson gets it back from Davies out to the right hand side for Tavernier. Down the right flank it goes for Sima, stepping in off the right, back to Tavernier, still well inside Rangers own half. Goldson now will go for this big switch of play out to the fresh legs of Matondo. Poor first touch, invites the challenge from Olafunwa, who did dive in, however He thought he could nick the ball. He's taken too much of Matondo for the referee's liking, and the yellow card comes out for Dario Olufunwa.
And I must say, this last 15 minutes or so is just built for Matondo. You just want to feed him as much. St Johnstone have now effectively went a 4-4-2. They are a bit leggy. They've worked ever so hard to kind of stay in this game up until this moment. Get the ball to Matondo and let him get at this fullback 1v1, particularly now that he's been booked.
Yeah. Olufunwa has to be very careful now. He's got a flying machine against him.
Tavernier back to Goldson, midway inside his own half, square for Davies. Davies looks forward, finds Matondo. He's quickly challenged though by Phillips. Plays it up to May. Carey looks to just lift it over Yilmaz, who just sees it out of play. I think that's a free kick actually. It's gone Rangers' way for a slight shove in the back there of Yilmaz, who was certainly looking for it. And the free kick is taken to Davies. Plays it square for Goldson. Goldson goes long. He's certainly got a good long pass on him, Connor Goldson, but couldn't find Sima on that occasion. Remember, Rangers in European action on Thursday as Real Betis come to town and looking to get off to a positive start in their Europa League campaign and try and get somewhere near a repeat of their exploits of a couple of seasons ago when they went all the way to the final, which coincidentally was in Real Betis' hometown of Sevilla. Not losing out on penalties. Time try Frankfurt as Sima tries to go beyond his man Luke Robinson. He cleverly backheels it off Sima and gets his side a goal kick. He's done well actually, the young left back in this game. 13 minutes to play. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1.
He has. I think St Johnstone have played well. I really do. You know, Rangers spent a lot of money on this squad. St Johnstone haven't got a penny to their name. They've posted figures of 1.5 million losses. Yep. You know, but the team out there have given their manager absolutely everything, and it's still 1-0, 13 minutes to go. They'll believe they can get at least a point out of this game. They've got to keep pushing. Davies
wins that above Kane. He's actually done pretty well against Chris Kane. Thought that might be a battle that Kane would feel he could get the better of Ben Davies, especially on his first start of the season. 6,967 inside McDermott Park this afternoon watching Matt Smith come forward, but Davies steps in and wins it back for Rangers. Good play by Raskin to get away from Phillips. Now Lawrence looks for Matondo. He's away from Olufunwa. Matondo, can he finish it for Rangers? He can! Rabbi Matondo off the bench to score Rangers second, and surely now that puts the game beyond St Johnstone. And just as the guys were saying, release Rabbi Matondo, feed him in behind, and his pace on the pass from Tom Lawrence, which was inch perfect, and Rabbi Matondo in off the left hand side to slot it past Dimitar Mitov. It's St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2. And it's a brilliant pass. Well, again, don't even think, I think it was Tom Lawrence that played the pass. He just takes a touch with his left, and he knows he's got the flying machine of Matondo on his left hand side. He just slides the pass in front of him. He's got a quarter of a pitch to hit. Matondo gets in, 1 touch, 2 touch, sets himself perfectly, slots it in the corner. And like we say, the second goal was always going to be important, and that should be game over now for Rangers, and 3 points.
That's a brilliant finish. Just opens his body up, Kenny, and passes it into the bottom corner.
Confident finish.
Light and quick. We just said that, how quick he was. Get the ball to him and cause all sorts of concern. Long way back now for St Johnstone. They've played well, still in the game in 79 minutes, but that'll be all 3 points now.
And that's the benefits of the squad, though, isn't it, Alan? You've got the bigger budgets, the bigger clubs. Look at the guys that you're bringing on and how they can impact a game. I mean, these games are tailor-made for Matondo.
Yeah, he's a player though, Kenny, who's playing with so much more confidence than last season. I mean, Rabbi Matondo of last season wouldn't necessarily have slotted it so coolly beyond Dimitar Mitov, but it was no question that when he got through into the penalty area there, that he was going to score, just as he did against PSV at home. That was a good finish as well, and he certainly looks like a player who's been reborn over the summer.
Yeah, listen, he's built his way back into Michael's plans, but it did look like he could have been another one of these players that was maybe heading towards the exit at Ibrox. But he got that first goal. It's the same finish, just he's had to take a few touches and steady himself today on this, but he just opened up that right boot, slotting it past the goalkeeper into the bottom corner.
Dan Phillips has gone down, and there's a bit of confusion as to whether the ball's to be knocked out of play or Nick Walsh has eventually just stopped the game.
I'm sure he could make the yard off the pitch, surely.
I'm not so sure. I think he's got a dull one here. I think he might have, could be his Achilles, he's gone here.
He's certainly getting treatment quickly. Michael Beale is quick to actually expressed concern for him. He went down just in front of Michael Beale's technical area. No, he's back on his feet actually. Just as Matondo skipped away from him, he just went down, and well, hopefully it's not a serious injury. He might well be replaced here anyway, as St Johnstone make a couple of changes. I think they're going to come too late to really impact the game. 27 is Jay Turner-Cook, and number 8 Cammy McPherson are both going to enter the fray. And at last Chris Kane gets a rest after putting himself about for the opening 81 minutes, and off he comes. I think Phillips also has just made way for the two players, Turner-Cook and McPherson, who have come on. But this game surely be on St Johnstone now, Alan, as well as they've played in the game.
Yeah, it is, and I think when you look at that second goal, Alistair, when you see it again on the highlights, and the ball's played into Lawrence, it's his awareness of what's round about him. He's actually facing Butland, and he quickly turns, and he doesn't even take a touch. It's a first time pass in between Olafumwa, allowing Matondo to race onto it, and it's a wonderful finish by the young winger as well. Really good play by him, but Lawrence has been a class act.
Yeah, Ravi Matondo's second goal of the season. Looks to have made the point safe for Rangers. St Johnstone clearly won't be giving up just yet. They did come back from 2 goals down against Dundee late on. That's Kucheravi with a double, so albeit Rangers a different prospect. No side has conceded fewer in the league this season than Rangers. Just a couple of goals let in their 4 games up until now, albeit both of those goals were winning goals for Kilmarnock and Celtic respectively. But 2 goals to the good in the closing stages here. 7.5 minutes of the 90 remaining, and Michael Beale looking to earn a much needed victory as Lawrence feeds Matondo once more, coming up to the edge of the area. It goes for goal again. This time it's well over the top from the Welsh winger, and it remains St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2.
Again, great play from Tom Lawrence. It was patient play for the Rangers across their back line. Conor Golson just dinked a beautiful pass forward onto Tom Lawrence, but how he receives it, his touch, the deft touch, just to allow the ball to actually still kind of travel forward into his path, and then drives into the space, releases Matondo, who, listen, you can't blame him for opening up and trying to slot another one into the goal there from the way he finished the first one.
Can you play with Cantwell and Lawrence in the same team?
Absolutely you can. I think it's just an automatic change for Cantwell and for Lammers.
Stevie May gives chase to a forward ball. Davies tries to force him out to the right hand side. Back with Carey. Carey swings it. It's a good ball, and that should have been a goal from Cammy McPherson. He's glanced it wide from a little more than 6 yards out, and he really has to hit the target from there, Cammy McPherson, with the late run into the box. Great delivery from Graham Carey, but McPherson sends it wide.
The pace is already on the ball. He's just got to flick it into the back of the net. It's a really poor header. It's probably easier to score than to do what he's actually done. He's knocked it wide.
And that's 2 great balls that Graham Carey's put. I mean, you talk about Tavernier's delivery as well, but Carey's delivery is outstanding with that left foot.
Here's Costello. St Johnstone haven't given this up. Forward he comes. Raskin gets back to get a toe to the ball inside his own penalty area, and Tavernier completes the clearance. Considine with his head to the ball, but knocks out a play for a Rangers throw on the far side. There's no question Graham Carey's delivery from either dead balls or indeed open play is something to savour, and on that occasion Cammy McPherson couldn't apply the finishing touch he'd have liked to be on the end of that cross, Ken.
Absolutely, it was on the money, like you say. Like all the pace was on the ball, actually travelling towards the goal. You just need to guide into that and on off that back post. You know what, say, I think in relation to St Johnstone, they've been pretty good today. They've limited Rangers to very, very few chances and had 2 absolutely glaring opportunities from Kane and McPherson towards the end of the game. So they've actually, listen, they're going to end up coming away empty-handed, but I think they've shown again, maybe as the season's moving forward, that they are performing pretty well as a team.
The season's not going to be defined against games against Rangers and Celtic. You know, they've got a point against Celtic at Parkhead, which is probably one against the Grain.
Yeah, it's bonus point.
Expected, you know, so it's the games where the teams round about them, Kenny, they need to, you know, that obviously got a point against Dundee a couple of weeks ago, the Ross Counties, the teams like that, the Livingstons, all these sides, the ones that are going to be in and around that battle is going to find it difficult. They're the ones they've got to win.
Seema fouled by Luke Robinson, who earns a yellow card for his troubles, and it's a Rangers free kick midway inside the Saints half right hand side, which Lawrence will take into the box it comes. Davies can't get anything on it. Cleared away as far as Yilmaz. Yilmaz takes a touch and then sends it back in, looking for Sima, but off his line comes Mitov to gather that at the edge of the box and immediately launches it long, looking for Carey. Yilmaz should see that back to Jack Butland, applauded by the Rangers goalkeeper as the Turkish defender does get it back to the yellow shirted Jack Butland. And with 4 minutes left to play, Rangers closing in on a much needed victory, which will just ease the pressure somewhat on their beleaguered manager. But focus will then turn to European action. Real Betis will have live coverage of that from Ibrox, just following the Eintracht Frankfurt Aberdeen game earlier in the day. We're on air from just about 5 o'clock on BBC Radio Scotland Sports Sound with both games, the Europa Conference League group stage game between Eintracht Frankfurt and Aberdeen, and then the Europa League game between Rangers and Real Betis, as both Scottish teams get their group stage underway. That is of course after Feyenoord host Celtic on Tuesday, and clearly live coverage of that here on Sports Sound as well. Tavernier struggling to it's got to be the Rangers captain going into the book as well, as he just drags Costello back. 3 minutes left to play. Free kick out on the left hand side to St Johnstone.
It seems to be a dirty game, but it's 6 yellows now in the game.
It's all been niggly. Last time it's 4 for pulling back, I think, isn't it? Did you count the one for McLean as well?
Oh no, I'm counting him. Stephen McLean, 7 then.
Here's Cammy McPherson with the delivery from the left hand side. It's a dangerous looking ball. Goldsham with a good header, just helped on by Matondo, who chases his own clearance down. It's back with Robinson on the halfway line, back out to McPherson, left hand side, comes away from Yilmaz, who finds himself away out on the right wing position at the moment. He's knocked it off McPherson. It's a Rangers throw in. 2 minutes to play. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2.
Rangers have deserved to win, but I'm just looking at Mitov. We're talking before the game, Alistair's going to have a big performance from him. He's not really had that much to do, and there's no chance with the goals. Really good finishes in the first half of Danilo, and in the second half from Matondo. No chance for the keeper, but it's not as if he was making save after save after save. But Rangers have thoroughly deserved to win.
No, he had a good block from Sima in the first half. That's the only one I can really think of that you would say is goes down as a good save. Beyond that, it's all been pretty comfortable stuff for the keeper.
Well, I think if you gave him his afternoon's work against Rangers, then he would take that. You know, he's made comfortable saves. By the way, he's came for a couple of good crosses as well, which easy pressure on his defence. But he's had a relatively quiet afternoon and comfortable afternoon. But Johnstone have done well. Rangers have obviously scored 2 really good goals. Not really had too much more.
Here's Roof though trying to change that inside the penalty area. Might break back to Sima, just lashing it past the post from the edge of the penalty. He just dragged the shot in the end beyond the right hand post of Mitov. No more action for the keeper to deal with, but Rangers close to a third goal there.
Yeah, he's just snatched it. I felt kindly for him. It was a bit of kind of ricocheting between bodies, and eventually felt nice for Sima, who just tried to find the bottom left-hand corner. Goalkeeper's right, and he just drags it past the post.
Into the final minute of the 90. You get to see how much there will be in the way of added on time as Lundstrom knocks it forward for Roof out to the left-hand side to Sima, who swapped wings with Matondo in these closing stages. Back it goes to Lundstrom, a bit of room. Can he get the shot away here? 25 yards from goal is Lundstrom, but it's always heading wide and high of target there. John Lundstrom, not a prolific goal scorer, and never threatening Dimitar Mitov's goal there.
He's not a prolific goal scorer, but he's got 2 really, really good feet. So from that distance, where he's managed to work a good bit of space, about 23, 24 yards out, you expect him to hit the target, but it did look a little bit of a tired effort.
Yeah, always swerving away, wasn't it? But he probably should score more, as you say, Kenny. He can hit them off right or left. 5 minutes to be added on, and we are just into that right now as Rangers look to see this game out with a clean sheet intact. A couple of goals to their credit, as Yilmaz throws it down the left. Olafunwa heads forward, so too does Lawrence. Considine goes back to his goalkeeper. Mitov clears up towards the halfway line. Carey and Yilmaz. Again, it's a slightly unorthodox attempt to rise and head that from Yilmaz, and St Johnstone get the break of the ball. Lundstrom knows won it back for Rangers. Davies for Yilmaz, left hand side, midway inside his own half, forward for Roof, gets out to Sima. Sima looking to take on Olive Boonwatch. Great pace once more from Sima, up against Considine now, inside the penalty area. Square for Roof, Roof with a shot, and it's wide again from Kemar Roof. It was coming across his body, and he just needed to hit right through the ball, but it came off the outside of his boot and swerved away, and it remains St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2.
Again, good play for Sima, using the attributes that he's got, his pace and his power, has the presence of mind to get his head up and pick Roof out, and Roof again, pretty tired effort, gets all wrong. But I'm just watching Stephen McLean on the bench here. That's 3 times that Yilmaz has went up for headers, and he's jumping as if he's a goalkeeper with a knee up to protect himself. The first one I felt he put his foot into was it Kane or was it May? He put his foot in, but the last two he's gone up his knee into the back. You know, it's something. You can't jump up like that because you're endangering the opponent by doing that. So I understand he's small and he's maybe trying to protect himself, but you can't be jumping with your knee into the player's back. Stephen McLean was definitely not happy with that last one.
Yeah, right in front of him as well, but no, understandably it's a couple of times at least that Yilmaz has done that, and really can't get away with that. But
he just needs to be careful, because you don't want it to lead to bookings or potential sending off and things.
The first one, that's what I was saying, it might be something the VAR would look at, because he did seem to catch.
The first one's a yellow for me, the very first one that he's done is a yellow, and how the referee's not giving it, I don't know.
Rangers have it, 2 minutes gone in stoppage time, 2-0 they lead, and they will move on to 9 points from 5 games as Rascan has it on the halfway line. St Johnstone will continue to languish down at the bottom, 2 points from 5 games, no wins, and just a couple of goals scored, and that's really has been a problem for them for a number of seasons now, an inability to score enough goals. St Johnstone have it out to the right hand side from McPherson to Carey. Carey handled that, reckons the assistant, and free kick goes Rangers' way. Just inside their own half, left hand side.
You think for Michael Beale, Kenny, be delighted. Clean sheet, Lawrence getting game time as well, because I think he's been the best player on the pitch. He's been magnificent. His little touches, his awareness, he works round about him, his way to pass, very good.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Lawrence has been superb, and I've said it all along, I thought he'd be a good signing initially when Rangers signed him. It was just really unfortunate he got injured so early on in his Rangers career, but like you say, it's 90 odd minutes under his belt today. There again, look at that play.
Yeah, turning away from McClellan, finds Matondo, right hand side of the penalty area. He tries to help it back into the middle, comes off the back of a St Johnstone player, and they manage to clear out to the left hand side. But Lawrence, some of his passing and touches to move away from players as he did there with McClellan, just despite the fact that it's his first 90 in over a year in a competitive game, he still had the freshness to be able to step away from the defender and almost create another goal. Here's Yilmaz left hand side as Rangers look for a late third. That cross is cleared away as far as Rascan.
I think Rascan's been better today as well. He's been a little bit kind of out of sorts, I would say, at the start of this season, but he's been better today. But like Lawrence as well, I'd even throw his work ethic into that as well. He works ever so hard for his team. I think when you've got guys like him and Todd Campbell are really, really good, effective players, but they're also working ever so hard for the team.
Rascan for Sima, who's off target with the effort again. The Rangers have scored 2. They could have had plenty more with a bit more clinical finishing, because they've got into some good areas at times. The 2 goals could have been 3, 4, 5 if their strikers had been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think definitely to the edge of the game, and that was brilliant play again. We just touched on Rascan, and he has had a really good game today as well. But that was a brilliantly weighted pass in between the left back and the left centre back.
That's it, all done at McDermott Park. The 3 points will go back down Govan Way as the managers exchange handshakes on the sidelines. Michael Beale gets the much needed victory. As for Stephen McLean, they continue to need points down at the bottom even at this early stage of the season, but Rangers good value ultimately for the victory, earned thanks to goals early in the game from Danilo, who got in the end of James Tavernier's superb cross to head past the St Johnstone keeper Dimitar Mitov only to be injured in the process. He and Liam Gordon clashing heads, and both players having to be replaced after 16 minutes. Rangers pretty much dominated proceedings. St Johnstone had a flurry at the start of the second period where they looked livelier, but the points were secured when the substitute Rabbi Matondo raced on to Tom Lawrence's superb slide rule pass, cutting through the St Johnstone defence into the box with Matondo, and he slotted past Mitov away to his left hand side to make it St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2. And although St Johnstone passed up a couple of opportunities, with Chris Kane missed kicking when he should have got an effort away, and then Cammy McPherson at 2-0 down, glancing a header wide when he should at least have been troubling Jack Butland. That was pretty much that for St Johnstone, who will remain bottom of the table. Rangers get their third win from 5 as they look to resurrect their season and move into Europa League action on Thursday evening. At McDermott Park, though, it's finished. St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2.
On digital.